Charlie Curnow, 1 vote, 2 to Zach Butters, and 3 to George Stewart at 13 clearances.
We are one.
I was 4.5 years of age when they took me off my mother, and at 56 I learned that I was an Aboriginal woman. I started writing at 70. I'll never stop writing and sharing those stories.
90 years of your stories.
I am Auntie Ruth, I am Gungari, and I am 92 years young.
90 years of the ABC.
ABC Sport. AFL.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it! Future is now! The impossible angle! Sensational goal!
And that's what brings fans through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Season 2022, the fans are back. The colour and soundtrack of our great game. Let's go.
You ain't seen nothing like this.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Surely he can't from here. Gives it everything. Yes, he can.
Turns, whacks it straight through the middle. Jumps it on the right, kicks another.
A burst of pace, and he finished it. How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kings.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
From 50, good kick. The MCG are up.
AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The conclusion to Easter Sunday brings us to Docklands as Essendon look to mount its case as a finals candidate against a Fremantle side hoping to consolidate its spot in the 8. After a delayed start, the Bombers' season has officially taken off after a 4-point win over Adelaide, but it could come crashing down at the hands of a surging Dockers outfit who rolled the Giants last week by 34 points. Rising star Caleb Sarong returns for Fremantle alongside key back Alex Pearce. And first-round draft pick for the Bombers, Ben Hobbs, will make his debut here at Docklands. No late changes. Tom Cutler, the sub for the Bombers. Darcy Tucker for Fremantle. Aaron Bryan's with you to call the action. And alongside me this afternoon is Joel Peterson. Welcome, Joel.
G'day, Aaron. Good to have you here in Melbourne town. Fascinated by this game today, particularly the Fremantle element. I've seen Essendon a couple of times this season. They squeaked past the Crows last week. But if Freo are to be fair dinkum in 2022, this is the exact type of game they have to win. They've been really poor in Victoria in recent seasons. Since the start of 2017, so the last 5 seasons, having not played here at Docklands yet this year, they are 6-18 at Victorian venues. It's not a really flash record. The next step in their journey is to be a better travelling side, to come over here, to make inroads. This is one they have to have today.
Essendon have won 14 out of the last 15 games, the times that these two teams have met, and Fremantle haven't actually won in Victoria against Essendon since 2010, so there's a lot against them, but they are the informed side at 3-1, Essendon 1-3. Your experts this afternoon, firstly AFL Hall of Famer Nathan Burke. Welcome, Burkey.
G'day, Aaron and Joel. Interesting one, this one. I'm tossing backwards and forwards. I think, Essendon at home. You just read out those stats then, which everything points towards Essendon, but I just get the feeling that the Fremantle are playing like a really good team at the moment. They're no one sort of jumping out and being a superstar. They're a real team effort, and that to me wins games than having sort of 3 or 4 players run around and get 40 possessions, which Essendon tend to do.
Alongside Nathan Burke is Collingwood Premiership player Luke Ball. Welcome, Bally.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, great to be here. Agree, Burkey. I mean, coming into the game or coming into the round, it's 4th versus 14th. I know it's only early days. We're a month in, but we were here, Joel, last week and saw the Bombers really just get over the line. We spoke throughout the day. They just had to get a win somehow by any means possible, and they did. They weren't very impressive at all. So when you look at that, the record coming into the game, the form coming into the game, it certainly favours Freo. I wasn't aware they hadn't beaten the Bombers in Melbourne, though, since 2010. So there is a bit of a monkey there that they need to get off their back today. As you said, though, Joel, if they're to be taken seriously this year and are fair income, they need to be winning these sort of games because the Bombers certainly not nowhere near their best at the moment. So, or will just getting over the line and getting the nourishment of a win last week, will that spark the Bombers a bit and get a bit of momentum going? One thing's for sure, they'll have to clean up the way they defended across the board. Not their back six, but the way they defended turnover last week was really poor. The Crows scored so easily. So there'll be some opportunity there for the Dockers. As I said, on paper, I'm probably leaning towards them today, but they do have that, can they win in Melbourne? Can they beat the Bombers in Melbourne hanging over their head?
You mentioned it's still the start of the year, so it's hard to gauge where teams do sit. But Fremantle 3-1, a win today would put them back in the top 4. The teams they've beaten, though, so Adelaide, West Coast and the Giants, it still doesn't feel like they've had a major scalp, and even a win today might not tick that box. But do you feel like they're the real deal this season? Can they play finals?
Well, we were just talking off air. I mean, I feel like at the moment everyone's playing for second, aren't they, in a sense? But I think at the start of the year, I had these two teams in that sort of 5 to 12 bracket range, I guess, with obviously a hell of a lot of other teams. We saw two of them just compete prior to this in Carlton and Port Adelaide. So, I've still got them both in there. I think from the Bombers' point of view, once you start slipping too far behind the ledger, they need to give up 3 at the start. And yes, there were circumstances behind it, and they played 3 very good teams that potentially no one had them favoured to beat. But once you start slipping 3-4 games behind the ledger, Berkey, it's a long way back, even though it is a long year. So they did that. They took the first steps towards evening out the ledger last week, and they'll be really keen, especially with these home games where we know they do play really well usually under the roof here. They'll be really keen to take that next step towards evening the ledger at 3-3.
They've been beaten by Geelong, Melbourne and Brisbane. So 3 pretty handy outfits.
I think they're the three best three best teams in it at the moment.
Yeah. So look, they've had a really tough run up until this point. But when you're behind, you need streaks of wins. You can't go win-loss. That won't get you to where you need to be. So they've started something last week against Freo at home. They should be expecting to win. So there's 2, and I'm not sure who they played.
Well, Anzac Day next week. So there's another game where another one of those teams that are vying for that that sort of 5 through to the bottom half of the 8.
So the Bulldogs after that for Essendon, and then they go Hawthorn, Sydney, Richmond, Port Adelaide into their bye. So that's a pretty tough little stretch over the next sort of 6 or 7.
It is, but I think it's from Ben Rutten's point of view, and good to see him back in the coach's box today after Blake Carousel did the job last week. But for them, they'll want to see a big turnaround in what I spoke about before, in the way that they defend as a team today. Too often last week, Adelaide were able to take the ball from their back 50 to their forward 50 and score without really being touched. And it's certainly no fault of the back 6 of Essendon, who are undersized today, it must be said. You look at, in terms of opportunity, when it's Lobb and Tabin are over 200 centimetres against the likes of Laverde and Ridley, there's some opportunity in there. The Bombers' back 6 need more pressure on the footy. They need more forward half defence from their mids and forwards today. Otherwise, Freo should be able to score really easily under the roof here as well. So that, I'd imagine, I actually spent a bit of time at the Bombers a couple of years ago, and I know that was a massive focus on Rutten and Carousel. They're coming over from Richmond. They spent a lot of time on that over a couple of pre-seasons. It does feel like they're taking a bit of a step back in the first month of the year this year. So it would have been a massive focus, I'm sure, during the week. And part of that also is how they use the ball going forward. Too often last week, they were out, they had an uncontested possession and just made a basic skill error and turned the ball over. And when you do that, it can be really hard to set up the ground and defend off the back of those sort of mistakes. So the way, like Carousel and Massimo, the way you attack needs to support the way you're able to defend. So I'd be expecting a big improvement from the Bombers in that area today in what we know are perfect conditions.
Essendon have conceded 14 goals or more in every game this year. So the injury list is quite lengthy, but the back 6 does seem pretty set. As you touched on, it feels like the midfielders do need to stand up with their defensive pressure. But the loss of Stringer and Merritt, has that played a role? Is it more personnel than system?
A little bit of both. I think certainly Stringer in terms of their effectiveness ahead of the ball, although Peter Wright is having a terrific year, we know, and is taking his opportunities. Merritt, in terms of what I spoke about before, the way they use the ball forward to centre, Merritt's easily their best. I mean, you talk about Parrish, Shield, these sort of guys. Great ball winners, not great users of the footy. Turn the ball over a bit too much at the moment. Whereas Merritt, when he gets it forward to centre, tends to hit a target and they retain the footy. So, again, they would have spent a lot of time on that this week, I'm sure. And that's an area they absolutely need to clean up today against the Dockers.
Luke Ball, Nathan Burke, your experts at the Docklands. Essendon hosting Fremantle. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson with you. And down on the boundary, the 5th member of our commentary team is Lauren Borden. Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks, Aaron. Great to be down here. We just saw Dyson Heppel win the toss, so he's chosen to kick towards the Coventry end of the Docklands. Obviously not too much of an advantage when the roof's closed. It's about 27 degrees outside, which means it's really stuffy down here with the roof not open to allow a little bit of air in. But we'll see how it goes, see if the players are affected by that at all as the game goes on.
So can Essendon string together consecutive wins, or will Fremantle continue to push towards the top four, looking for their 4th win of the season? It's the Bombers and the Dockers on Grandstand AFL. The text line across the afternoon, 0437 774 774. To kick us off, here's Joel Peterson.
Interesting that Sam Draper's starting on the bench for the Bombers. Big Sean Darcy stands in the centre of the running, best and fairest for Freo. Ready to launch into Andrew Phillips and get us underway. Easter Sunday football. Phillips knocks it forward for the Bombers. Guelphy's up off the front of the square, pushed through the pack by Young. Handball to Parrish, got it to Shield, to McGrath, who tries to cut through the traffic in the centre of the ground. Shield with a left foot kick inside the 50 in the Waterman direction. Pearce went back with the flight, left it behind. Waterman picked it up in the forward pocket for the Bombers. They dive in on top of the football. Luke Ryan hovers over the pack, ball won't come up. And a ball up inside forward 50 for the Bombers early.
You mentioned Phillips earlier. One area they were dominant last week was the centre bounce of the Bombers.
Phillips beaten by Darcy, who took it out of the ruck but lost possession. Parrish is wrapped up by O'Driscoll. Another ball up to come closer to the boundary line.
And it's going to be a fascinating battle. That tag team, Phillips from Draper against Darcy predominantly.
Darcy wins it down again. Good clearance from Cox out on the full. Caught the side of his boot. Free kick to Essendon inside attacking 50. Tight angle on the left. About 25 out from goal. Darcy Parrish will receive it. He's got Caleb Sarong standing the mark, but he's headed for home. He'll tuck the mouthguard into the boot. Darcy Parrish yet to kick a goal this season. Needs something special for his first. Opens the angle. The arc is curling across the face. It sits up on the behind line and knocked through for a minor score by Brendan Cox. The Bombers on the board first, just the one behind. We've travelled a minute and a half into the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Coming off 38 possessions last week, Darcy Parrish, obviously with Merritt out. Usually to see if the Dockers put a bit of time in him. I thought Darcy Tucker might have come into the team to run with him, but he's starting as a sub.
Well-directed kick in from Ryan found Cox. Of course, Parrish, the 3 votes from Luke Ball in the ABC Footballer of the Year last week. Cox chips it short to Walters for the Dockers. Off half-back. Now Clark, who's been important in generating some run for Freo. He swings it to the open side of the ground where Luke Ryan's pressed up on the City side wing. He goes over the top to O'Driscoll. So good last week. The youngster. Just in front of the wing on the City side. Goes low on the left boot inside the 50. Sarong against Redmond. Sarong brought it to ground. Nick Cox there for the Bombers. Did he take Sarong high? He did. He had to get down very low. And the tackle slipped high.
Yeah, I don't like that. Berkey? No, I don't like that from Sarong. You've got to stand up in that tackle. You deliberately lower your body, get down. Okay, fair enough, you can say tackle, you've got to get lower too. But he's played for the free kick and the umpires rewarded it.
Doesn't look like he got the confidence in the journey here, Caleb Sarong. He was looking at all options to try and give it off. Important in for them. Back into the side. 4th in the best and fairest last year for the Dockers to give them a bright start here under the roof at Docklands. He just pushes the kick right to left. It's across the face for a minor score. Scores tied through 3 minutes, one behind apiece.
Interesting with Rory Lobb at one end and Peter Wright at the other end. Probably rucks that have become forwards. It's not your traditional forward line setup.
Essendon now moving it out towards the City wing. Sits up on the logo. Guelphy trying to gather under the pressure of Young will knock it over for a boundary throw-in. So scores level, early stages of this contest, a point apiece.
Yeah, and both Phillips and Draper are going to have to spend some time forward and try and hit the scoreboard. And we see the best example at the moment is the Gawn-Jackson combination at Melbourne, isn't it? So if you're going to go tall, you have to be able to go forward as well as that ruckman.
Darcy wins it down again. O'Driscoll trying to gather. Does well on the third attempt to flick a handball out to Brodie. Fremantle now at right half-back. Clark forward with the handball to Young. Shrugs the tackle of Guelphy. Heads towards the square. Nice kick to Akers. Marks uncontested. Hands it back to Chapman. Out to centre wing on the Dock side. Frederick just in front of the benches. Heads up towards left half forward. He spots Switkowski. Back with the flight. Couldn't gather under pressure. And knocked over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. Left half forward for Fremantle.
Ought to be chucked back in. 4 minutes gone, opening term. Scores tied, one behind apiece. Umpire slings it back into play. Darcy wrestles with Phillips. Won it down with the right hand. Sarong jammed it on the boot. High kick inside the 50. Heppel stands under it. Comes up with the football and pulls the mark into his chest. The skipper for the Bombers just at the top of the defensive arc.
Obvious matchups at the moment through the midfield. No run widths. It appears Pearce has got the right matchup, as you'd expect. An important in for the Dockers as well.
Zirk Thatcher down the line to Durham, who was good last week, Bawley. He's been impressive, the youngster.
Yeah, really good, and rewarded with a 2-year contract extension since he got picked up in the mid-season draft last year.
Whacks it down the line, up toward Peter Wright, wrestling with Pearce. Caldwell tries to scoot past on the boundary line and take it with him, can't keep it in, and a boundary throw in between the wing and right half forward for the Bombers.
Arm wrestle early at the Docklands. Earlier today, Carlton defeating Port Adelaide by 3 points. They led by 50 at one stage. Ended up being a thriller at the MCG. Toss back into play. Darcy in front position wins it down against Draper. Bouncing towards Brayshaw. Had a couple of fumbles close to the boundary line. Handball didn't carry enough and was knocked over. Akers trying to bring it in, but had the pressure of Waterman. Boundary throw in to come right half forward for Essendon.
Somebody there, but Andrew Brayshaw been in super form over the first month of the season.
Pretty hard tag on him last week from Lockie Ash. 26 and a goal still for Brayshaw. It's not bad going. Brodie had 37 last week. He extracts it here for Freo. Gets it moving forward to Collier, the former Bomber. Hasn't won against his former side. Swings the kick out wide to the City side for Frederick, who's got plenty of pace. Goes low inside the 50. Missed lob. Zirk Thatcher had front spot. Didn't have to worry him out of it. Laverty picks it up in the back half for the Bombers. Handball to Heppel, who tumbled it out toward the boundary line. Cox couldn't claim it for the Bombers, and we'll have a throw in. Let's go downstairs, Lauren Borden.
Very early in the match, Andrew Phillips has just gone down into the Bombers' change rooms with the club doctor. Tom Cutler's on the boundary at the moment doing some stretches, so we'll have to wait and see if Essendon might need to activate at sub very early in the match.
Not good news for the Bombers' ruck stocks. Meanwhile, out on the City side, Parrish around the body, bouncing ball up towards centre wing. Wright did well to tap it in front of McGrath. Now going to ground, Martin's wrapped up. Ball isn't going anywhere. It'll be tossed up out on that far side.
Probably a bit of a blow, because they obviously had a bit of a plan for Phillips by starting him in the ruck with Draper off the ground. So if he can't come back on, they're going to have to readjust things quickly.
Scores level, a point apiece. Durham at the back, handed it off to Parrish, then Heppel. Now McGrath sells some candy around Brayshaw. Heads up the wing, nice flat pass to Guelphy. Through centre wing, just behind the logo. Guelphy looks for some options. The Dockers have flooded back. Called to play on, who headlong towards the left forward pocket. In a contest, right in front position. Ryan at the back, couldn't claim it. Spills towards the boundary line. Ryan applies a tackle, trying to force it over. And eventually he will. Boundary throw in to come left half forward for Essendon. 1 point apiece. We've travelled 7.5 in the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Ball to be tossed back in near the junction of the 50 and the boundary. Umpire spins it back into play and then goes tumbling away as he tried to regain his balance. Durham off the stoppage for the Bombers. Skies it inside the 50. Oh, Perkins almost came up with it. Caldwell did the roving. Jammed it on the left boot. Couldn't find the finish. Minor score. Bombers with the lead once more. 2 behinds. Plays Freo's 1 through 8 in the opening term.
Just feeling each other out a bit, the two teams, aren't they?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, touching gloves and just having a bit of a dance around the ring. Another one who's going to benefit from Merritt being out, unfortunately, obviously, is Jai Caldwell starting to come into a bit of form, which is good, getting a bit of continuity in his footy.
Ryan plays on for the Dockers, kicks up towards the Dock side, brought to ground in the contest. Walters with an underground handball was brilliant towards O'Driscoll, pushed as he kicked it up towards the 50 for Fremantle and causes the turnover. The pressure was too much. Laverde comes across, takes the intercept mark for Essendon.
Another great story, isn't it? Jaden Laverde, talk about not being able to stay out there for too long, goes back last year and playing career best footy, rewarded again with a 2-year extension this week.
Heads back to the logo in front of us, brought to ground once again. Aish can gather for Fremantle. Defensive hand pass to Ryan. Wheels around a couple of tacklers and heads back up towards left half forward. 2-on-2. Banfield tried to fly, couldn't get the step ladder. Spilled to the back for Heppel.
Heppel, defensive hand pass to McGrath, who shoots it down the line for Wright, who comes sliding in defensive side of the wing and leaves a trail behind him in the turf here at Docklands as well.
5 early possessions to Andy McGrath. He started well. Heppel as well with 5.
So Big Peter Wright slams it to half forward. Dockers with all the numbers. Brennan Cox easily picks that off, can get it moving quickly and does. Loops the hand pass through the defensive 50 to Ryan. He cuts it up the centre corridor to Collier. Collier, a scything kick down the middle for Taberner, who's got Frederick at right half forward. Didn't measure the kick quite neatly enough. Frederick able to hem it in inside the boundary line. 55 out, looks up, sees no one home. So loads up from downtown and goes whack. Long-range effort from Michael Frederick, the first of the game for the Dockers. And they've got the lead by 5. 1-1, plays 2 behinds through 9 minutes of the opening term.
As we see Andrew Phillips come back onto the ground, so that's good, because I was going to say the flow and effect, Berkey, with Wright having to push up the ground and maybe playing the ruck, was that he got the ball on the wing, kicked it forward and straight to Rory Lobb. And the first example today of a turnover, and the Dockers able to go from their back half untouched really through to their forward. They almost mucked it up with that kick, but Frederick was good enough to pick it up, and that's a brilliant kick. He sized up his options, didn't really have much on, a couple of 50-50s, but that is a wonderful finish from outside 50. But worrying signs there from the Bombers in terms of their ability to be able to defend on the turnover.
Fremantle by 5, but Draper gets it down to Shield. Now McGrath up to right half forward, 2 1-on-1. Durham's in the contest up against Clark, who did well to use the body. Low to ground, got a handball out to Aish. Fremantle now through Mundy. Up through the wing they go. Nice kick to Brayshaw, who marks. Gives to Aish. Headed into the 50 through the hands of Taberner. Essendon can mop it up. Heppel with a handball off to McGrath. He'll switch across the goal face. Left back pocket hits Ridley. They'll keep going out towards the city side. And the mark taken by Hind at left half back.
It was good last week, Hind. Also in the votes from Luke Ball in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Found Nick Cox at one of a couple of inclusions for the Bombers out on the city side wing.
This is where they've been stuck. They haven't been able to go quickly once they've got the ball to that mid part of the ground.
Slow play again. The kick cleared Peter Wright. And Pearce read it better in flight and dragged it in, 2 arms outstretched above his head for the Dockers.
It's a good call, Berkey, and it results in another shallow entry. So they've been able to get any overlap from the wing into that launch pad to get a deep entry, and it's just been easy pickings for the Dockers across half-back.
Dockers by 5. Pearce whacks it up the line. The kick forward from Walters is cut off by McGrath, who's got it out at left half-back for the Dons.
And if Peter Wright keeps running underneath the ball when it's kicked 50 metres in the air, it's going to be a long day.
McGrath plays on, heads down the line through the arms of Phillips, who's back on the ground. At the back, Clark can gather for Fremantle. Gives it to Young, then back to Akers. The former Saint heads up the city wing, bounces up towards Lobb, did well to gather. Handball off to Sarong, who spots Mundy, who can go. An open Paddock into the 50, hits Tabner. The class from the veteran David Mundy. Fremantle will have a set shot from 45 out, 45-degree angle to the right.
And that's the difference, Paulie. Mundy can get the ball in the middle, turn around. There's no one coming at him. He's got acres of space and delivers the ball beautifully to Taberner. It's a strong pair of hands, too, under a lot of pressure. But the Bombers, they get the ball to the middle and they're bombing that ball to the 45 to 55 metre area and just coming straight back.
Only a year younger than... I'm only a year older than Dave Mundy, so I've been sitting up here for about 7 years, Berkey. He's still doing it. Just a beautiful kick of the footy.
Just the 4 goals this season, and Matthew Taberner, due to a hamstring injury in the opening 2, he loads up from the paint, and it's got the carry. Taberner's on the board at the Docklands, and Fremantle have back-to-back majors in the opening term to push it out to an 11-point lead. 2-1-13, plays 2 behinds. 13 minutes gone on Grandstand AFL.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, the Dockers turning the ball over at half-back and being able to transition the footy. Untouched again, a couple of missed tackles. It's another thing that the Bombers are trying, but last year in particular, built their game around pressure and tackle. I think we're the worst tackling team in the competition at the moment. Just a couple of opportunities there to wrap a player up. They're able to get their hands free, get the ball out to a loose player there. Again, Ridley on Lobb on the wing, and just the access through the corridor will be really worrying Ben Rutt and his coaching staff, and David Mundy's not the person you want kicking the ball inside 50 from an opposition point of view. Such a good kick and good finish. They need to hit the scoreboard earlier, Dockers.
Luke Ball alongside Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Free kick out of the middle. Sarong takes it away, kicks inside the 50. That one's over the head of Taberner. And Laverty takes an intercept mark. You mentioned a contract extension earlier, Bally, on his birthday as well during the week on Tuesday, Jaden Laverty. So Fairly handy birthday present, I'd have thought. The new deal. Put pen to paper. He kicks outside the defensive 50. It's slapped out of play. It'll be thrown back in at left half forward for the Dockers.
Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Nathan Burke, Luke Ball with you. Lauren Borden on the boundary as well. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL, Essendon and Fremantle. The Dockers up by 11. Toss back into play. Lob one it down straight towards Brodie. Handball over the top to Sarong. Lowers the eyes to Tabner. It's too high though. At the back, Fredericks run down in the tackle. Picked up by Walters. The snap from the impossible angle sits up in the goal square. And Hine comes back for the Bombers to take the intercept mark. Deep in defensive 50. They'll head towards the left back pocket. Kick was too short for Redmond. Called to play on. Kick smartly though outside the 50. Finds Thatcher. And now up the city wing, he'll go to a contest. Front position, Chapman stood his ground, takes the intercept for Fremantle.
He's a really good young player, this kid, and he's turned it over, coming into the centre. Shield, handball, got the kick away to Smith, who ran into trouble. Clark got him too high, said the umpire. Reprieve for Essendon. They breathe a sigh of relief, the Bombers fans around Docklands. Dev Smith activated as the sub in the second half last week. Has it 70 metres out here. Kicks inside 50. Phillips two hands to it. Sarong took it cleanly off the pack. Jammed it on the boot outside the defensive 50. But Ridley's got it for the Bombers.
Best and fairest winner heads into the right forward pocket. Forced to spoil from behind was Durham. And knocks it over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. Essendon's attacking 50. 30 out from goal in the right forward pocket.
Phillips is coming off again here. He came back onto the field. He stood up at full forward for 5 minutes and now just doesn't look free with him running off the ground. Yep.
Toss back in. Draper in a contest with Lobb. Won it down straight to Perkins. He's swung in the tackle but got it to Parrish. Bit of a fumble. Gathers off the deck. Hands it off to Smith. 40 from Grohl. Trying to weave through traffic. Got boot to ball. Central kick to Martin, who threw it on the boot. Too far right, minor score to the Bombers. Back down to a 10-point deficit. Essendon 3 behinds. Fremantle 2, 1-13, 16 gone in the first.
Just hurried himself a little bit there, Martin. He should have had another step or two.
Yep, which he hasn't done in his early career. He's looked very much at home. He's looked like a 100-game player, really. He's been a huge find for the Bombers this year.
Cox short to Chapman in the back pocket. He goes long to the city side wing. Banfield stretches, can't take it. Laverty tackled by Bailey Banfield. He's locked up. The inclusion, been the sub the last 2 weeks. Banfield replaces Schultz as that pressure forward. Let's go downstairs on Grandstand AFL, Lauren Borden.
Andrew Phillips will be subbed out of this game. It looks like an issue with his left ankle, but we're still waiting to find out exactly what. Just slumped into his chair when he came off the ground then, and the paperwork's being filled out, so Cutler will be coming into the match.
Ball slapped out of the ruck toward Parrish for the Bombers. Brodie takes it off the pack. Handball to Walker for the Dockers. Kicks up the line to a 2-on-1. Essendon with numbers. Floats over the head of Laverty and Zirk Thatcher. Spilled away to Mundy. Low kick up toward half forward. Zirk Thatcher ran interference. Got in front of Taberner. Couldn't control it inside the field of play. Out for a throw-in between the wing and right half forward for the Dockers. Kicking to the Lockett end in the opening term. They lead by 10 through 17 minutes.
So Draper in the ruck up against Lobb. Got front position the Bomber, but knocked out of it by Lobb. He pushed him away, won it down straight to Collier. He's wrapped up immediately, coming through Caldwell. Got the footy, but it's coming back to Fremantle. Aish got pushed in the back. So he'll have it on the city wing. Just short of right half forward for Fremantle. Looks central. Spots Brodie just inside the square. Not sure if it was 15. The Bombers fans certainly didn't think so. Paid the mark anyway. He'll head short towards the arc, way too low. Sarong has to gather off the deck and Redmond gets him. Vantage paid to the Bombers. They'll head up the wing, far side. Shield has some space to think about what he wants to do. Whistle coming back to Fremantle. Redmond's given it away after disposing of the footy.
Really silly stuff.
And Sarong has the free kick on the paint of 50. Centres the kick to Brodie. From 45, he'll head long. It starts right, doesn't come back, and it's so far wide that it's out on the full. Fremantle up by 10, 2-1-13 to 3 behinds, approaching time on in the first.
Undisciplined from Redmond, who was so good last week. Ridley just gallops outside the defensive 50 here for the Bombers. Chips it to Martin. Essendon by 10 points, or trail by 10 points. 18 and a half gone in this opening term. Zirk Thatcher's got it for the Bombers. Goes back to the top of the defensive goal square to Kelly. He swings it on the left boot. Now to Hind. They've opened up the city side of the ground here, Essendon. Hind on over the top to Parrish, who's got options. Goes to the first gamer in Hobbs, who gets his first touch of the football. A long way from City Oval at Horsham to the City wing here at Docklands. He plays on by hand to Parrish. Parrish on turn to Smith. Smith chips it to left half forward. Nick Cox takes the mark, 60 from home.
One of their two inclusions. Cox heads into the left forward pocket. Little chip kick for Heppel. Brought it to ground. Smith was front and square. Thought about it. Went twice. Finally kicks to the goal square. Knocked down by Wright. Cox is in front position for Fremantle. Kicked it short to Clark. Thought he was paid the mark. Nearly walked it over the line and did. Smith tried to kick the goal. Played on for Essendon, but it was already over. Boundary throw in, 25 out, left forward pocket for Essendon, down by 10 points.
A bit of build-up, though, wasn't able to get some run and overlap and handball. Smart decision from young Hobbs in his first touch. Hit the ball deeper, stoppage inside 50.
Toss back in. Wright gets in front of Darcy, won it down, but there's all Dockers at the fall of the ball. Pearce got it to Aish. Now Walker, handball wasn't great. Coming through, Martin can snap from 30 and finish. He's been electric on debut for Essendon this season. And he's got one to his tallies at the Docklands. The first of the afternoon for the Bombers. And it's a 4-point game. 2-1-13 Fremantle, 1-3-9 Essendon. 20 gone in the first on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Well, he had that first one, a bit of a cider, but good forwards. As crafty as they need to be with their snapping left and right, they need to be clean below their knees. And that was a sort of a fumbled handball, so it hit below his knees really, really quickly. But it was just a bend, pick up, and got himself free and snapped it up. So really good signs.
Rising star, isn't he? He's 192, Berkey, too. So it's like he's that's right. Yeah, he is. He's been magnificent. They were finally able to get some forward pressure though, the Bombers, which forced the error, forced the cough up, and lovely finish.
Justin Power lays it down in the middle. We'll do it all again. So 7 goals, 2 on the season. 22 disposals he's averaging. 8 score involvements last week.
He's at the moment, again, the very early days, but he's top 3 rising star.
And he's been a sensation on the scene for Essendon. Draper taken down in the middle. Rayshaw the kick inside the forward 50. Heppel a handball stolen by Switkowski. Tried to get it to Collier, who applies the pressure. So too Banfield. Martin was there for the Bombers at centre-half back. It spilt to Brodie. Now to Banfield on the left boot. Tried to cut a low kick back into the central area. It was taken by Martin. Handball to Zerk Thatcher. Under pressure in the right back pocket. Works it out nicely to Heppel, and they open up the ground to the city side again. Kick found Shield. He's got runners going on over the top and kicks long to Guelphy toward half forward.
Has some time to take the mark and does just inside the field of play. Bombers streaming forward. He's unsure what to do. Plays on around the man on the mark and heads long into the left forward pocket for Essendon. Wright's in a one-on-one with Pearce. The Docker brought it to ground. Smith now in a tangle with Ryan. Ball comes out to Hobbs, but it was just called a ball up by the umpire. And unfortunately, Essendon, there was an opportunity at goal there. They'll try again inside 50 from the ruck contest. Darcy down to Brayshaw. Quick clearance straight towards the medical sub, Tom Cutler, who's come on for Andrew Phillips. Takes the mark, 40 out from goal, straight in front.
Cardinals, isn't it? A quick kick out of a deep defensive 50 stoppage into the corridor. More than likely the opposition have got their wall set up, and Brayshaw was sung his praises. Just a little mistake there. Had to go more boundary side. And nice when you come on as a sub, isn't it? Early or halfway through the first quarter. Ball lands in your hands, you get opportunity to hit the scoreboard.
Tom Cutler out of the side last week due to COVID protocols. Back in as the medical sub and can capitalise early. Comes in, crosses the paint of 50, too far right. Minor score to Essendon, 1-4-10. Fremantle 2-1-13. 3-point game at the Docklands. Time on in the first on Grandstand AFL.
Ryan brings it in for the Dockers. Haven't lost the first quarter all of this season, Freo. Their opponents averaging only 9 points against them in opening terms. The Bombers are making them earn it here. Cox at half back, swings it across the defensive 50 back toward the top of the defensive goal square for Pearce. He's got a lead from Chapman centrally. Wants to go out to the city side. Measures the kick nicely for O'Driscoll, who rises to mark. Out at right half back for Freo. In the white away strip with the purple chevrons across the front, the Dockers. The Bombers in their traditional black with the red sash and the black shorts this afternoon. Long kick up the wing. Switkowski read it nicely off the pack. Handball to the run of Walker. Walker kicks to Frederick. Arms outstretched. Just couldn't pull it in as he backpedalled inside the forward 50 for the Dockers. And the ball trickles out in the right forward pocket where it'll be thrown in. 2-1 Freo, 1-4 Essendon. 24 gone in the opening term. The Dockers by 3.
Apart from Mundy's kick inside 50, Fremantle's kicking has been pretty ordinary. There's 3 leads and they've kicked over the leader's head each time.
Tossed into play, beat both ruckmen. Switkowski had to apply a tackle, trying to bring McGrath down to ground. Essendon at the back through Ridley, gets a click around the body up towards left half back. Spoiled to ground by Young, coming through Caldwell. Skied it towards the square, rising. Guelphy brought it to ground. They've been caught high in the process as well. He's a bit ginger from that. It was Banfield who was caught high. Guelphy remains on the deck. Free kick to Fremantle. Banfield heads into the 50. Redmond can cut it off. Couldn't take the intercept mark. Spilled to McGrath. Head over the football. Got a handball back. Quick clearance around the body from Martin. Bounces its way towards the dock side. Fremantle have numbers sitting back.
Chapman left it behind. It was picked up by Cutler. Jammed a tumbling boot on the ball. Walker gets back there for the Dockers at left half back. Kicks to Akers. Dropped an absolute sitter. Hobbs there to pressure him. Akers goes back and picks it up. Handball to Sarong. Got crunched. Devon Smith lined him up and let him know about it. The Bombers fans let the umpires know about it. We'll have a ball up centre wing, dockside, tossed up. Neither ruck could get there, so Brayshaw took it on the half volley. Handball to Brodie, handball to Akers. In front of the interchange gates, Sarong, drawn to a stop. Now to the run of Collier by hand. Low kick toward the 50, straight past Banfield. Zerk Thatcher's under pressure. Handball straight back to Banfield. Caught by Redmond. He's tackled dangerously, said the umpire.
He's played in the back. Jeez.
Every Bombers fan in the stands thought that was going to be holding the ball. And Banfield given a second free kick in a matter of moments inside the forward 50, 45-degree angle left of centre.
Have another look at it. He had him cold, didn't he? Oh, jeez. Maybe that last little bit. I think that's holding the ball, though, Berkey. I think 98% of the tackle was almost perfect. He pinned the arms.
Yeah. When the umpire sees the arm pin, they instantly think, that's dangerous.
No, I think it was in the back. I think I saw the umpire's motion. It was for that last little bit where he fell on his number, but
Banfield can't take the most of the opportunity. Leaves his kick left. Maybe some justice in that as far as Essendon's fans are concerned. 4-point margin through 26.5 minutes.
So don't waste any time. The Bombers up towards the city wing. Guelphy nearly got it in the contest with O'Driscoll. Can Crum. Caught in the tackle from Frederick. Dropped it. No free kick. O'Driscoll can gather. Gives it off to Brayshaw. Fremantle can settle. Defensive little chip to Ryan. The All-Australian back. Just behind centre wing. City side will look for the switch. Heads through half back to Chapman. Now further wide up towards the dock side. Here's Walker. His 13th game for Fremantle at left half back. Not sure where to go. He's called to play on, but there's no pressure. Plenty of time to think about where he'll head next, and he finds Pearce in front of the benches. So it's the Dockers up by 4 points. Medical sub activated for Essendon. Andrew Phillips off with an ankle injury. Tom Cutler's on. Pearce heads towards the logo. Hits Young. Behind centre wing. Looks for the switch. Guelphy's coming across to cut it off. Brought it to ground. Chapman now has to gather under pressure. Paddled it straight to Waterman. Essendon now through Parrish. Out to Guelphy. Handball across. A nice little 1-2. Guelphy now heads towards half forward. Over the head of Perkins. It'll bounce into the 50. Pearce comes out to meet it and races straight through Smith. Fremantle now through half-back can go.
Attacked it hard. Sarong wobbles a kick to the wing. Redmond almost picked it off coming the other way. Heppel and Walters in a wrestle. Spills to Redmond in front of the interchange gates. Banfield tried to dive across the hand pass and then Durham handballed it into Heppel, who didn't know it was coming. Heppel handballed it back to Durham, who trapped it between his knees. Ran away and kicked inside the 50. Young almost cut it off for the Dockers. Peter Wright lays a big tackle. Bombers fans call ball. Umpire disagrees, says give it to me. In the dying stages of the opening term, the pressure's really ramped up here. Freo by 4 points. Bombers camped across the forward 50. Smith off the pack. Right on the stroke of quarter time. Kick goes right to the line and it's taken an awful leg break. It's bounced between the point post and the goal post. Gone hard left.
No
bounced
score.
Around the behind post and no score. So the first term ends with some frustration for the Bombers fans. And a 4-point lead to Freo. Under the roof here at Docklands. They've lost their past 5 to Essendon here at this venue. They haven't beaten them here since 2010. And it's the Dockers at the end of one. 2-2-14 to the Bombers, 1-4-10.
Low scoring opening quarter. Goal scorers for the Dockers, Tabner and Frederick. Meanwhile, for the Bombers, Nick Martin has his 7th of the year. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
It's official. We'll be off to the polls this May.
Hi, Sabra Lane here. I'm the presenter of AM. I'm also a political tragic. Most interesting thing about the campaign trail is the razzmatazz and how the politicians cope with meeting everyday Australians and explaining their policies. That's what I love about campaigns.
Get accurate, impartial information on your ABC radio or head to abc.net.au/Australia Votes. Election news that matters to you on the ABC.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Frederick able to hammer it in inside the boundary line. 55 out, looks up, sees no one home. So loads up from downtown and goes whack. Long range effort from Michael Frederick, the first of the game for the Dockers.
Mundy, you can go. An open paddock into the 50, hits Tabner. The class from the veteran David Mundy. Fremantle will have a set shot from 45 out, 45-degree angle to the right. Just the 4 goals this season, and Matthew Tabner, due to a hamstring injury in the opening 2, he loads up from the paint, and it's got the carry. Tabner's on the board at the Docklands. Pearce got it to H. Now Walker, handball wasn't great. Coming through, Martin can snap from 30 and finish. He's been electric on debut for Essendon this season.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome back to Docklands, where we have a tight contest on our hands. Fremantle up by 4 at quarter time. 2-2-14 plays Essendon's 1-4-10. The second game of the doubleheader on Easter Sunday earlier today. Carlton defeating Port Adelaide by 3 points at the MCG. They led by 50 late in the second quarter. It came as close as 2 points. And ultimately Carlton getting over the line by 3. Port Adelaide with their worst start to a season in their AFL history, 0-5. And Carlton, meanwhile, continue to push towards finals. Looking good this season, even though they keep letting teams back in. Here at the Docklands, though, Fremantle being pushed quite hard by the Bombers, but they've been a bit more accurate in front of goal. 2-2-14 to 1-4-10. Aaron Bryan's Joel Peterson with you. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch, 0437 774 774. Your experts, though, this evening, Nathan Burke and Luke Ball. Gents, what did you make of that opening quarter?
Well, they've been more accurate, you're right, Aaron, but they haven't used the ball well, other than that Monday kick, as you said, Berkey. They've gone inside 50 14 times, the Dockers, to 9 from the Bombers, so they've controlled the footy a bit more. But that last kick, which we know is the money kick, it's the kick that separates the best team from the also-rounds in the competition. They're only going in at 43% Freo, so haven't been able to get bang for their buck, and a lot of it, we called it out before the game, a lot of it was their ability to turn the ball over across half-back, so the Bombers with shallow entries to the Freo defenders and mids turn the ball over and then transition the footy into their forward half. They just weren't able to capitalise with that last kick, so I didn't see a heap in that quarter, Berkey, that would suggest that the Bombers have improved too much on last week's ability to be able to defend their turnovers, and part of that, as you call through that term, is how they use the footy from centre forward. They're just not able to get enough run and overlap, connection through that middle part of the ground to be able to penetrate to 75, 70 and then get a deeper entry to right in these types. And as a result of that, you look at the Bombers forwards, Wright 1 possession, Waterman 2 possessions, Young, Perkins only 1 possession, and the 2 ruckmen haven't touched the footy at all. So that's not a great return. And having said that, you're only going 4 points down. So there's some upside there from the Bombers' point of view, but they need to work at their connection forward of centre to be able to hit some marks inside 50, and that will in turn aid their ability to set up their team defence behind the ball, which has been their Achilles heel at the moment. And I think with Phillips going out, that's going to disrupt that a bit, because Peter Wright's going to have to spend some time in the middle now. He's been in good form, but he's got his work cut out for him today, and he needs to get on the move, because Alex Pearce is a terrific one-on-one defender, and a couple of times he's just been able to nudge him under the footy and outpoint him, and he's been really good. from a Freo defence point of view. So Wright's going to have to get on the move a bit today to be able to get into the game. Perhaps spending a bit more time or spending some time in the centre bounce will help that. But that will throw the Bombers out a bit.
It will, and my worry for the Bombers is that, you mentioned it perfectly, Paulie, when they go slow, it's not working for them. So they've got to actually take off and run a bit more through the middle. It doesn't look like either side today is really nailing their possessions. Sometimes you can have with some of those games, there's a lot of handballs that are hitting the ground.
Yeah,
probably the worst handballing that I've seen all year. Their kicks aren't really great. So if the Bombers are going to do that, hey, let's take off and sprint through the middle, if that ball gets turned over, that's when they're going to get scored heavily. So it's high risk, it could be high reward, but if they don't hang on to that footy and maintain it through the middle, I think Freo will say, you know what, we were a bit jittery that first quarter. 3 of the passes to our forwards who got free went over their heads. Let's lower them, hit those, and we can actually score pretty heavily here. So, interesting game style.
When you look at the Bombers forward line, you take Wright out of it, they are going to have to get some scores from their mids. They've been talking about that all pre-season. We know that they've got prolific ball winners in there, but forward of centre, McGrath had a great quarter, I thought. He had 10 possessions, Heppel had 10. And Parrish had 9, but they weren't really. A lot of them were back of centre. They need to start getting some effective ball mid-forward.
The voices of Luke Ball, Nathan Burke, Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson with you. The Dockers up by 4 at the Docklands, second quarter underway. Draper along the deck trying to gather inside the square, ends up towing it towards half forward. Coming out, Clark tried to cut it off, overran the footy. Caldwell for Essendon, gives it to Guelphy. Then McGrath into the right forward pocket. Waterman leading out from Claimant, not paid. They keep going. Smith centres his kick for Guelph. Sat up in the air. Young knocked it down straight to McGrath. He's got 3 to beat. Threw it on the boot. Heads up towards the right forward pocket. Cox brings it down to Young. Nearly wrapped up in the Waterman tackle. He couldn't stick it. Chapman's handball, not a great one though. Wright stuck a hand out. Got it down to Cutler. Wheeling around Smith from 20 on the right. It's curling but not coming back enough. Minor score to the right-hand side. 1-5-11 the Bombers. 2-2-14 Fremantle. I thought Waterman had that mark there.
It was a lovely kick to his advantage. Oh, gee, was it over the shoulder? Probably did just a good enough job, Luke Ryan, who's a terrific defender, as we know, to spoil. But better from the Bombers, able to create a bit of pressure in their forward 50, get a shot on goal. Let's see if they can play the game in their front half for a bit here.
Young kicked into Ryan, who goes back to Young, who turns it over straight down the throat of Parrish, who's off and moving it forward. Short kick to Martin, travelled about 15.1 metres. And Martin was able to take the slips catch 45 metres out, directly in front, looking for his second and the Bombers.
Well, they'll keep it in their forward line if the other team kick it to them all the time. So that was just a mistake by Young. And you're right, Joel, that kick across to Martin, probably 15.1, I reckon it was about 10.1.
In pretty good hands, though, isn't it? I think it was meant for him originally, but it's in good hands.
7 goals, 2 on the season. He's quickly becoming a fan favourite. Nick Martin endearing himself to the Bombers faithful. He's got 2, and both of them for Essendon, who hit the front early in the second term. 2-5 plays 2-2. 2.5 minutes gone in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
It was just an unforced error, wasn't it? As you said, Berkey, Hayden Young, whose left shoe is his weapon, really. But he just bit off a bit more than he could chew there, and trying to thread those kicks on the 45 over that sort of 30 to 40 metre distance. You generally invite an opposition player in to cut it off, and Darcy Parrish was good enough to be on his toes to do just that. So perfect start for the Bombers in the second quarter.
Up by 3. Early stages of the second. Nice high bounce in the middle. Both rucks flew. Went to ground and then Draper paddled it down towards McGrath. Handball wasn't a clean one. Mundy tried to gather but couldn't pick it up. McGrath comes in. He's gang tackled. Ball up to come in the centre square. Leading possession getters started the second. McGrath has 12. Heppel and Parrish 10. Sarong has 10 as well. Comes to ground in the middle. And a free kick in the ruck contest going the way of Draper. So the Bombers ruckman has it, back edge of the square. Andrew Phillips subbed out of the game with an ankle injury, so he's going it alone at the moment. Draper heads up towards the arc for the Bombers. Put it into space at right half forward. Chapman should have taken the uncontested intercept grab. Now has to get through 2 tacklers, but does well. Handball across to Clark, the former Cat. Handball put in front of Pearce. Coming through Guelphy, couldn't gather. And now the Dockers again get another chance to get it out of defensive 50. Clark pushed as he kicked it. It's curling towards the boundary line and just bounces in the field of play as it goes over to be tossed back into play. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
His injury actually looks to be a bit higher than his ankle. He's been icing his left hamstring. He's had a few hammy issues in the past, so probably knew when to call it time for today.
Thanks, Loz. Ball thrown back in. It was very early in the game as well. Draper with 2 hands, palms it down. Akers took it. He was taken the tackle by Martin. And Dockers work it quickly through hands. Young to Akers, kicks the Dockside wing. High footy on the head of Lobb. Almost pulled it in with the right arm only. Redmond there to knock it forward at ground level for the Bombers. Picked up by Walters. Lightning hands to Frederick. Then from Lobb to Mundy. Mundy goes inside the 50 into the path of Taberner. Collects at ground level and handballed straight into Laverty, who batted it forward the other way. Kelly's there for the Dons to Ridley. He's under pressure. Taken in the tackle. Ball locked up. Right forward pocket. Freo into attack at the Coventry end.
Started a tick lead back at him, didn't he there, David Mundy? Thought if I was a forward and I saw Dave Mundy streaming at me, it's an easy one from Taberner, who was running back towards goal. Made it harder for him.
Essendon by 3. Darcy won the ruck tap. Straight down towards Caldwell. Errant handball. Now Mundy. Check side across the goal face and all the way across. And just through for a minor score in the end. It snuck through inside the behind post. Minor score to Fremantle. 2-point lead to Essendon. 2-5-17 plays 2-3-15. 5 minutes gone in the second on Grandstand AFL.
357th today for Dave Mundy. So he joins Gary Ablett Jr. on that number in terms of all-time games played in the VFL AFL. Long kick outside the defensive 50 for the Dons. From Laverty, Smith over the back of the pack, knocked it on to Caldwell, to Shield, back to Caldwell, who's got an open 50 to work with. Kicks to full forward, Peter Wright! Mark at the top of the square for the Bombers. It's Cox, in fact, who's pulled it in. He's 15 out on a 45-degree angle right of centre.
It was a good kick in the end because Cox was over the back of his opponent. I was waiting for, like you were calling before, Paulie, somebody to lead at the player. And they're all running backwards towards goal, but the kick was long enough to get over the back of the defenders playing in front.
So back into the team this week. Nick Cox played all but one game last year for the Bombers. He's such an impressive prospect. And he converts for Essendon. Pushes the lead out to 8 points. 3-5-23 the Dons. The Dockers 2-3-15. 6 minutes played, second term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Yeah, it was a lovely kick, wasn't it? Giant Caldwell able to carry the defence, and it's classic wing play, isn't it? Just tearing down the fat side of the ground. Nick Cox, we know that's a massive strength as he comes for a spell after kicking the goal. We know that happens. But yeah, his ability to get up and back, get back to the support his defence in the back 50, but then push hard forward. That's when he's at his best, and it was a nice bit of play from Dylan Shield, because you're right, he could have blazed, but he drew the opponent, handball over the top to Caldwell, and a lovely kick from him. So 2 in a row for the Bombers.
On the text line, M from Melbourne says, great to hear Luke Ball and Nathan Burke on commentary as well. In the middle, Essendon up by 8. Draper won it down straight to Shield. Shrugged the tackle of Brodie. Takes a bounce through the square. Flat kick up towards left half forward. Hits Guelphy. Too far out to score.
Get it in there.
And took too slow to move it. The Dockers have flooded back. He'll head towards the left forward pocket for Essendon. Darcy in front position. Cuts it off and plays on. The big man goes for a run and kicks it up the Dock wing. Brilliant to Banfield. Fremantle with possession. Central kick to the square's a dangerous one though. McGrath spoils it down through the logo. Brodie's there to meet it. The Dockers mopping up. Heads to Darcy, then Walters. Handball over the top to O'Driscoll, who bursts through. There's a whistle and it's coming back. They tried to play on the Dockers. Banfield had possession, but it'll come back to O'Driscoll, who was caught high.
They got a high one. Oh, I love Matty Guelphy, but if you mark the ball out of a centre bounce, 65 metres out, you've got to wheel and go and get it in deep. This ball should be 15 metres out from the Bombers' goal.
O'Driscoll into the 50, Taberner flew, brought to ground, Ridley's there, handball smothered by Frederick, who can gather 15 out, gives it off to Taberner, put it on the boot, it's a flat kick, but it's an accurate one. Major for Fremantle, one they desperately needed. Taberner has 2. Back down to a 2-point game after Essendon had all the momentum at the start of the second. They're up 3-5-23. Fremantle 3-3-21. 8 gone in the second on Grandstand AFL.
Guelphy compounded his problem by sort of outsmarting himself. He said, okay, Draper's run down there. He's a tall player. He's probably going to be taller than his opponent, but his opponent was Darcy, who actually marked the footy and sent it back very quickly the other direction. So not only did he get it in there too slowly, he actually made a bad choice with his entry going in there.
Just a bugbear. The centre bounce, you know that it's 6-on-6 ahead of the field. So overuse of handball, and players really, if they take that mark, got to wheel and go with confidence that you can get it deep and you're going to get a one-on-one. Should almost be a rule, Berkey.
Yeah, goes astray in the middle.
If you get Peter Wright leading at you, anywhere from 0 to about 12 feet off the ground, no one's going to be able to punch that from behind. Impossible.
Bounce almost tumbled out to the centre square, actually. It was that bad. From the restart, it's Shield who takes it away. Parrish, low kick inside the 50. Spears it onto the chest of Waterman. Charging out from full forward.
It's a perfect example. And the Bombers just getting on top around the middle here, which is a worry for the Dockers. Sam Draper jumping nice and high. Dylan Shields had a great 5 minutes. He comes through a well-earned spell. But just his ability there to be able to turn and face the goals, instead of handballing that back to a runner, or referring the pressure back, he turned, faced the goals. Parrish was out, and they get the ball forward into space, into 6-6-6, and Waterman gets a look at goal.
Into the team last week with 2 goals, Alec Waterman. We know he's a beautiful set shot kick. That is no exception. Essendon with the instant response. 4-5-29 the Bombers, 3-3-21 the Dockers. Through 10 minutes of the second term on Grandstand AFL.
I'm glad you mentioned, Paulie, about Shield, who he gets a handball receive and he turns and faces up and looks forward and goes forward. There's too many players these days who they've got space behind them but want to do that extra handball backwards, sideways, and maybe get the old 1-2, who knows. But Shield, he takes the ball forward, and as a forward, you know it's coming. So you get on your bike and away you go. But I like the Bombers' forward setup. You got Wright around about 20 metres out from goal. Waterman with his pace coming out of the goal square, going at 45 degrees, whichever way the ball comes out. It's a good look.
Essendon by 8. Draper won it down to Caldwell, who's gang tackled. Lob come up and up for Fremantle. Just threw it on the boot high into the 50. Banfield in front position, couldn't claim it against Heppel. And bursting through is Cutler, the medical sub. Kick through the corridor to Draper, nearly brought it down. Dockers all around him. Brayshaw can gather for Fremantle. Gave it to Akers. Little chip into the 50, hit Switkowski. He'll mark 35 out from goal, straight in front.
Just looking at the replay, he's probably got to mark that Draper if you're going to be critical. He had 6 inches on his opponent there, and it was a bit of a risky kick from Tom Cutler back inside the corridor, but he's got to stand tall and mark that. Could have been a free kick, probably not though, and the result is a shot of goal.
Switkowski starts on the square, comes in from 40, plenty of power and just enough accuracy. Through for a major. Back-to-back goals. Momentum swings at the Docklands. It's a 2-point game. Essendon 4-5-29, Fremantle 4-3-27. 12 gone in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Well, that was Switkowski's first kick in the game. He's had 3 handballs up to that point, but I think it was Blake Akers. He's been a really good pickup for the last few years for Fremantle. Obviously coming from the Saints, where he was a good handy player. Never reached outstanding heights, but back in Fremantle, he really controls one wing. You put him out there and he gets back and helps in defence. He goes forward. He's tall for his size. He's the one that actually brought that to ground. End up getting the handball receive and a smart kick into Switkowski.
Third season at the Dockers for Blake Akers. From the restart, Caldwell for the Bombers. Handball to Hind, who was stationary, got quickly moving. Chipped it short to Parrish in front of the centre circles. Goes inside the 50. Durham rises, can't mark. Lob the ruck there was there for Freo. His handball pinched by the opposite number 37 in Martin. Got it to Caldwell on the numbers of the 50. Handball to the pocket looking for Perkins. Smith's tackled by a couple of Dockets. Clark among them. And we'll have a ball up in the right forward pocket. Dons into attack. Up it goes. Inside forward 50 for the Bombers through the hands of Perkins. Bursting away with it was Brayshaw. Handball to Aish. All slows down in front of Brendan Cox for the Dockers. He loops and well-measured pass. Just deftly pushes it into the path of Ryan. He marks it right half back for Freo.
Ninth disposal coming up for Luke Ryan. Key pillar of the defensive six for Fremantle. Heads up the dock wing to a pack. A couple of hands, bounces away, and finally Caldwell can gather his run down in the tackle, but got it back to Zerk Thatcher. Pops it up towards left half forward. Hobbs, the debutant, will take the mark. Heads closer towards the arc and the boundary line, finds Waterman. Still about 65 out. Heads towards the left forward pocket. He spotted right. It got a fly, but it was too far behind Cox, who was backing into the flight. And takes the intercept mark for Fremantle. Across the goal face, he'll go. Switches the play to Akers. Still inside defensive 50, closer to the paint. Heading towards the city wing. Bombers up by 2. Akers chips it short. Left half back is Collier, the former Bomber. Traded in 2018. He'll head back through defensive 50 to Ryan.
So Ryan now whips the kick outside the back arc to Aish. Sits under the high ball and hands off to the cruising Brendan Cox, who comes past. He puts it into the path of Lobb, who extends and marks it right half forward, 60 from home. 5 in from the boundary, chips it diagonally inside the 50 to Walters, 47 metres out.
Too easy. It was a slow play. The Bombers had them hemmed really across half back. They were just able to switch way too easily, and it was probably the wingman out here from the Bombers' point of view that had collapsed in too far. Way too easy to be able to go out and around them like they did then, the Dockers. 5, 6 uncontested marks in a row. This will be 7.
Goes into the pocket, does Walters. Looking for Brayshaw, who was infringed upon by Caldwell as he tried to mark. He's not a great deal closer to goal. Maybe only 5 metres, and on a tougher angle here is Brayshaw, and certainly doesn't have the goal-kicking credentials of Sonny. 22-25 in his career. One of the emerging stars of the competition. Kicked 1 last week, 2 goals, 5 on the season so far. Starts at right post, stays there all the way. Never looked like it. 1 point ball game, 4-4 plays 4-5. Don's ahead, 16 minutes gone, second turn.
It's a different kind of thriller at the Docklands. No one really wants the win at the moment. A couple of opportunities, but inaccuracy hurting both sides. Ridley plays on, chip kick towards Zerk Thatcher, left back pocket for the Bombers. He'll do the same to Parrish, just inside defensive 50. This will be touch number 14. Heads up the dock wing, in front of the benches. Wright tried to get a rise, didn't get enough flight against Chapman, who knocked it down straight to Cox. The Dockle trying to wheel around Smith, he kept it in. Did he get boot to ball as he dropped the footy? No. Holding the ball, free kick to Devon Smith. His tackling's been on point today. Essendon now up towards left half forward. Heppel did well to read the flight, stayed down. O'Driscoll flew and missed it. The Bombers skip up, too far out to score. Chips closer towards the arc, still left half forward to Hobbs. So it'll be touch number 3 on debut. Plays on around the man on the mark, sets it up towards the top of the goal square. Draper comes across, can't claim it. Went to ground, picked up by Sarong. Handball out to O'Driscoll, then Brodie, and now Young. Had players racing at him, but got a handball away to Brayshaw. Put it in front of Tabner. Did well to tap it back to Brayshaw. Across the boundary line he goes. Races through centre wing. Kick up towards Banfield. Beats the pack. Frederick can go. Wants to take the advantage. It's coming back. It's an Essendon free kick, which is why he was out, Michael Frederick. But it'll be Laverty's free kick. Half back for the Bombers.
No theatre, it would have been exciting.
Yeah.
Foot race towards goal.
The gate was open there and the horse was bolting in. Ridley's got it from Heppel. Calmly measures it down the line for Jai Caldwell. The Golden Square product. Just defensive side of the wing. Puts it on the right boot toward half forward. Draper stands under it, can't mark. Guelphy took it at ground level. Handball to Draper, handball to Smith for the Bombers into the pocket. Smith on the left boot, centering kick. Durham, who went early, almost came down with it. Waterman in the right forward pocket. He dives after it. Handball to Durham, dragged down, didn't have it. He'll get a free kick in the right forward pocket. 15 out, tight angle.
Not pretty, but free kick was there, and he's going to give it off to the left footer here.
So handballs around the corner immediately, and Smith's missed it.
No, it wasn't a left footer.
Devon Smith came looping around and missed the shot.
Don't mind it.
2-point ball game.
Yeah, don't mind it. I think he's probably more accomplished on that left, deep in the pocket than Durham, but he'd be disappointed there, Devon Smith, after doing so much hard work on the wing here to set up that opportunity.
Approaching time on in the second. It's the Bombers by 2. Up towards the dock side. Knocked off hands towards the boundary line. Stays in the field of play. Guelphy got rid of O'Driscoll and then hands it to Hind, who tried to sell some candy around Walters and is caught.
They give the ball up.
Walters read it immediately. Hind's not giving it back. And finally does, but delayed play enough.
Just wet the hips, didn't he, Berkey? Yeah. There's still room for that.
Essendon have set up. So Walters will centre his kick to Young. Marks on the logo, dock side, plays on. Long boot on the left into the 50 for Fremantle. Plenty of flyers. Ridley at the back got a spoil. Went down to Durham. He's wrapped up by Lobb. Incorrect disposal. They'll play on as well. Banfield can waltz into an open goal and kick another for Fremantle. They're back in front. 5-4-34. Plays Essendon's 4-6-30. Time on in the second on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Just getting the ball to that really dangerous spot, 15 metres out from goal. We've seen both sides, when they're able to get the ball deep, put an immense forward pressure on, they're getting themselves some free kicks, some shots at goal. So
good tackle. It was lobbed then too. Good tackle from the big fella to get down on his hands and knees and get dirty there. Hasn't had a big day possession-wise, but he can always impact, and there's a little lesson there for the Bombers. Young Martin and who else was it there? So Jake Kelly, who just stopped, heard the whistle and stopped and let Bailey Banfield run in. I mean, it probably would have been an easy shot for goal, but they made a certainty of it just by switching off. So it's a good contest, isn't it? Goal for goal at the moment.
Entertaining stuff under the roof here at Docklands on Easter Sunday. Back in the middle. Mundy rips it away. Handball to Brodie for the Dockers. Handball to Brayshaw. They generate some run on the outside now through O'Driscoll. Spears a low kick inside the 50. Walters dives across and takes the slips catch.
Well, I don't think the kick was meant for Walters, and I didn't think he was going to get there, but that was a very good effort to just get his body in front of the Essendon defender and take it at full stretch.
Smart forward, isn't it? Yeah, just reacting quicker than his opponent. Started side by side, but just saw the kick. But even then, O'Driscoll, first time I've seen him live, got a bit of penetration on the kick. Young, the previous kick. It's a nice types there, the Dockers.
2 goals, 5 on the season so far for Michael Walters. Such an important part of this side when they're up and going, and he pushes that to the left from 40 out on a slight angle and makes it a 5-point ball game the way of the visitors.
He's too good a player to be 2 goals, 6 on the season.
Single-digit margin for most of this contest. Fremantle by 5 at the moment. They led by 4 at quarter time. Essendon exit defensive 50 up, down the dock wing. Early rise from Young gave away a free kick in the pack. Essendon take advantage. Shield hands it off to Parrish. He'll head long. There's no one in the goal square. Bounces towards the left-hand behind line and tapped over by Perkins for a boundary throw-in.
Should have done better than that.
It's the only part of his game. It's the part of his game that stops him from being an A-plusser.
Yep.
D. Parrish, from my point of view.
Running.
Everything else he does brilliantly. Just that,
again,
executing under
3 Bombers all running back to the goal square too.
Bombers kicking to the Lockett end. Toss back inside. They're attacking 50. Brayshaw's handball wasn't great. Parrish cut it off. Gave it to Draper, who slapped it down to Cox. Threw it on the boot. A tumbler through for a minor score on the right-hand side. Back to a 4-point game. Fremantle 5-5-35. Essendon 4-7-31. 22 gone in the second quarter on ABC Radio and Sport Digital.
So Cox to bring it in for the Dockers. Chips short to Young. Freo by 4 points. Come into the game 3-1. The Bombers 1-3. Of course, Essendon winners last week over Adelaide earlier today. Carlton in a heart-stopper at the MCG. A Brayshaw kick to Clark, who spent that before he had it, and it slipped through his hands as he put his arms up above his heads to try and pull in the mark, and it goes out for a throw-in. That was just a touch lazy from the Dockers recruit. Ball tossed back in, left half forward for Essendon. Darcy decisively down in ruck. Durham chases after it. His fellow Seymour product in Monday, many years on, pushes it out. Parrish takes it away for the Bombers. His handball to Heppel, who looped it up along the boundary line. It was knocked out of play, and we'll have a throw in still at left half forward for Essendon.
Fremantle by 4 points. Still a fair bit of time to play in the second quarter at the Docklands. Decent crowd in as well. Toss back into play. Darcy in front position. Tapped it down to no one in particular. Mundy put his head over the football but can't bring it up. Shield dives in. He can't do the same as well. Darcy got a handball out towards Akers. Threw on the boot for Fremantle. Sets up centre wing. Sky-high footy that Tabner can't claim. Zerk Thatcher did well from behind to spoil it in front of the benches. He'll be tossed back into play. True centre wing. Dockside. Commentary wing. 5-5-35 plays 4-7-31. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Luke Ball, Nathan Burke with you on Grandstand AFL. Darcy wins it down for Fremantle. Bounced through Parrish. Caldwell couldn't gather, but Walker could. Fremantle now through Brayshaw. Hands it off to Sarong. Then Young. Across half-back will go, but he kicked it straight into the rising Hobbs, who did well to apply pressure. Hands it off to right. Essendon now into the 50. Smith from 35. Curls it towards the top of the goal square. Guelphy can mark and walk in a goal. The Bombers back in front. 5-7-37 plays 5-5-35. 24 gone in the second term on Grandstand AFL.
That's 2 disposals now from Hayden Young. Would love to have them both back because they've both ended up in goals. Hopefully it doesn't take away the young man's confidence and still keeps taking the game on. But that one was just kicking straight into, I think it was Hobbs in front of him, who jumped up and took the smother, and off they went. For our defenders, quite rightly, they were caught out because Young had the ball in space and they were taking off, making space for their teammate. But well done by the Bombers. Defence creates goals.
Yeah, well done, young Hobbs. He certainly had a few good moments when he got involved with a handball out to right too. So
looks pretty clean, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. Not overawed at all.
Played in a Wimmera Footy League Grand Final for the Horsham Demons as a 15-year-old in a senior Grand Final.
Yeah, so he's got a strong body himself, and certainly won't be worried about big, stronger bodies with that on his CV.
Speaking of big, strong bodies, Draper and Darcy crash into each other in the middle. Sarong takes it away for the Dockers. Kick inside the 50. Laverty left it behind. Frederick picked it up. Handball into the pocket for Banfield for his second. That's a ripping finish. Goes the check side and sneaks it home under pressure in the left forward pocket. Bailey Banfield with a pair, and Freo immediately jump back into the lead. 6-5-41 to Essendon 5-7-37. 26 minutes gone in the second term.
It's the value of the centre bounce, clearance, Berkey, and getting it in deep to a one-on-one. It was Laverde, who's having a terrific year, but made the mistake of going to ground. Frederick, ball went over the back, got involved, and it's a really classy finish, isn't it, from a guy who's played multiple roles, really. Not necessarily a sharp-shooting small forward, but didn't panic, did he, on his wrong side. Took a couple of steps to steady himself, and under pressure, a lovely kick and quick response from the Dockers. Again, goal for goal.
Fourth lead change of the second quarter. We'll get Lauren Borden to keep an eye out on Devon Smith as well. He looks a bit proppy on his left leg on the boundary. Meanwhile, quick clearance for Fremantle into the 50, but Heppel's in the hole. Takes the intercept mark. What about heading towards the city side? Instead, heads to the left back pocket. Laverty's there.
Both sides having to find other avenues to goal at the moment. Wright's only had the 3 possessions, and Taberner at 3 as well.
Laverty's kick too long. Beats the pack and over the boundary line. Free kick to O'Driscoll. Right half forward for Fremantle, kicking to the Coventry end. They're up by 4. O'Driscoll slams it into the 50. Rising too early was Lobb. Over his head at the back, Heppel gathers for Essendon. Gives it to Shield. Retreats back to Zerk Thatcher, then uses Parrish in the left back pocket. Handball over the top to Heppel. Back to Parrish, but too long. It tumbles its way towards the boundary line. Stayed in. Zerk Thatcher now mops it up. Gave it to Heppel. Shield under pressure. The Bombers just can't get any territory, and Redmond has to tackle O'Driscoll over the line. Just inside Fremantle's attacking 50. Tightest of angles. Right forward pocket. 45 out.
Some pretty ordinary handball in there by the Bombers.
Pretty scrappy stuff, wasn't it? all under pressure inside the defensive 50. Umpire flings the ball back into play. Darcy hands to it. Free kick. Which way is the ruck lottery going? It's come up winning ticket purple number 4. Sean Darcy to take the free kick for the Dockers.
God, it was just resting on his shoulder. Really had no impact on the contest whatsoever.
So the big bloke, Weston Ferris from last year in the All-Australian squad, just 9 irons it to the top of the goal square. Kelly goes the double fist. Maybe should have taken the mark. Spilt to Durham. Switkowski almost stole it for the Dockers. Walters has a chance. Heppel at the top of the defensive goal square. Brayshaw crashes in. So too Durham. Tunnel ball out to O'Driscoll. Hooks it back on the right foot, the right boot toward goal. It bounces across into the left forward pocket and out for a throw in.
He's more of a left forward pocket specialist, Nathan O'Driscoll. That's where most of his goals have come from.
That pocket at Perth Stadium, he's making it his own, isn't he?
4-point lead to the Dockers. They'll try again inside attacking 50. Draper in front position, beaten by Darcy. Slapped it towards Sarong under a bit of pressure, couldn't gather. Collier got it out. Darcy with the half volley out of the air. Top of the goal square, Heppel sits underneath it and beats Walters. Couldn't really get a rise at it. The Bombers skipper heads towards left half back. It's a shank of a kick along the deck. Walker came out to meet it. Hobbs wraps him up and then dives onto him. No attempt to get the footy out, and Hobbs has won a free kick on debut. The Bombers have it at left half back.
Walker just dived upon it. Hobbs sends his kick toward Redmond. Gets up over O'Driscoll, makes him feel it. Wheels away with ball in hand. Shoots the kick to the AFL logo for Hobbs. Just defensive side of the wing for the Bombers. Going to come laterally to Kelly. First season at Essendon for the former Crow. Excellent last week. 8 marks, 7 intercept possessions in the win over his old side. Drops it on the left boot. High kick to half forward. Right in the pack. Cox. He's been good for the Dockers today. Takes the mark and shoots it short to Darcy on the paint of the defensive 50.
Starting to come into the game, isn't he? Sean Darcy, second half of this quarter. Slowly getting on top.
Touch number 7. Gets a nice run up as he bangs it up towards right half forward for Fremantle. Through the pack. Kelly's at the back. Handball wasn't great. Coming through, Frederick couldn't gather. McGrath now with a nice little 1-2. Cutler coming through, gave it back to him. Now Cox, back to Cutler. The medical sub's been active so far today. Gives it to Draper. Had plenty of time to wheel around. Skies it into the 50. Guelphy can get a rise. Couldn't bring it down against Chapman, but gathers off the deck. He's run down by Pearce. Walker can pick it up for Fremantle. Gives it back to Young, then Ryan in the defensive goal square. He'll use Sarong. Heads to right half back to Lobb. Beaten in the contest. Coming across Heppel, spoiled it to ground. Switkowski can tuck it under the arm and run. Takes a bounce in the tackle, which is holding the ball. Completely forgot the rule. Too far out to score the Bombers as the halftime siren scores. They might have a chance, possibly.
Very lucky it's not 50.
What's he doing?
So
he has called
50. The Bombers will have a chance to kick a major on the halftime siren. They were too far out to score, and the 50 will give Nick Cox a chance.
Switkowski had the ball in his hands and the siren had gone, and they were all just sort of standing there looking at each other, and he just dropped it on the ground. The umpire took a while to pay 50. He sort of thought about it.
I think the umpire had to work out what was going on as well.
Yeah. So did you just
that's right. The process, did I pay the free kick before the siren? Yes. So ball's in play. And Cox could argue that he was having a shot from 85 metres out.
This could be costly. Man on the mark, 20 out, slight angle to the left. Nick Cox with a nice long run up to give the Bombers the lead on the halftime siren. It's too far right. Minus score, Fremantle hang on heading into the major break.
Felt sorry for it.
6-5-41. Plays 5-8-38. A 3-point lead to the Dockers after they led by 4 at quarter time. The goal scorers at half time for Fremantle: 2 to Taverner and Banfield, singles to Frederick and Switkowski. For the Bombers, 2 to Martin, singles to Cox, Guelphy and Waterman. It's certainly been a slugfest at the Docklands. Hasn't been pretty at times, but certainly entertaining. Dyson Heppel has taken over for Essendon. 19 disposals, 7 of them contested. Darcy Parish also has 19, and Andrew Brayshaw with 17 for the Dockers. Great to have your company. The second game of the doubleheader on Easter Saturday. Earlier today, Carlton defeating Port by 3 points. They had a 50-point lead at one stage, but blew it or nearly blew it. It came as close as 2 points, and the Blues hang on, keeping Port Adelaide winless. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch across the evening, 0437 774 774. Gary in Canberra says, great call, love hearing Nathan and Luke. Is it just me or are the umpires allowing too many short kicks this year? So under 15. There's been a fair few. I tend to notice them at half-back when teams are trying to clear the 50, that there's a bit of leniency there where they give them a bit of room to work with.
Surely we get some good road trip stories out of people across the Easter weekend on the text line. There's got to be something happening out there that we need to know about.
Or in the spirit of our commentary box, some baking across the weekends. What have you eaten
some
out
hot
of your
cross
feast?
bun reviews, Berkey.
We've got a chef in the box, so...
I shall give you my hot cross bun review at the start of the third quarter.
All right.
For the context,
bated breath.
Yes.
Joel's brought in a special batch for the ABC team.
And some have been consumed and no one's gone down with anything yet.
so far.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
Back to the game. Bally Berkey, what have you made of that opening half?
Even as the scoreboard suggests, and looking at the numbers, I think the Dockers probably had the better of the first quarter in terms of field position inside 50s and weren't quite able to nail that last kick and to be efficient enough. And that second quarter was a real tussle, wasn't it? The Bombers probably controlled the first half of it. Certainly, I think, to me, what stands out around the middle of the ground, those centre clearances, because both teams aren't really getting into much of a rhythm in terms of general play, in terms of transition or anything like that. So at the centre bounce, when there's 6-6-6, one team's able to win it clearly and kick into a forward line with space, obviously gives them the best opportunity to score. And the Bombers for the first half of that quarter, Dylan Shield had a really good patch there through the middle. Draper started to play pretty good footy, and then in the last 5 or 6 minutes I thought Darcy started to take over around the clearances and around the middle and give Freo the best look at it. But as I said, I think towards the end there, both sides having to come up with different ways to score because there's no real forward who's standing up and being dominant at all. I think Tabernar and Wright have only had 5 or 6 possessions between them and not too many marks inside 50. So, having to find and scrap different ways to score through forward pressure and turnovers. So, as you said, Aaron, it's been a pretty game. There's been a lot of turnovers. The effort's been good. It's been willing. There's been some really good contests all over the field, but it hasn't really reached any great heights in terms of free-flowing footy. But you probably expect that with these two teams and where they're at in their season. The Bombers, as we know, desperate to not go 1-4, and the Freo desperate to notch up a win in Melbourne. So, nice and even, entertaining enough. Certainly very willing, and hard to pick a winner probably at half-time, Berkey.
Absolutely, mate. It's inside 50s 24-22 in favour of Freo. Clearance is 21-15 in favour of Freo, and tackles 28-20 in favour of Freo. They're really the biggest difference in stats. Everything else, as you said, is really, really even at this point. I think that the difference potentially in the second half is, can either key forward from either team step up and make a difference? The goals are all coming from scrappy play, the odd turnover, a free kick in front of goals. That's how they're being created at the moment. Nothing is really your classic come out of the middle, hit a full forward on the chest. We've seen Taberner take one mark from a lead. That's the only one for the whole half.
Yep.
So can Wright get his hands on the ball? Can Cox sort of push forward a bit more and play like a key forward? Obviously they wanted Phillips or Draper down there as well. Phillips not being on the field, but for Freo, same thing. Can Lobb get himself into the game, because he's been non-existent so far?
Justin Longmuir spoke during the week about Alex Pearce's return, that they felt he was a really good matchup for Peter Wright. He's been exactly that in the first half.
Yeah, and what he's doing is monstering Peter to a fair bit. He's not using what most people do and say, look, this guy's huge, I need to get a run and jump over the top of him and smash him. He's actually being really physical with Peter and getting him away from the drop of the ball. So it's not like he's even got his hands to it and just dropping it. He's just not getting to where the ball is, and Pearce is doing a great job there. But which key for the midfield, they're both going to get a stack of the footy. Brayshaw's up to 17, Heppel's 19, Parrish is 19, so they're getting a lot of the ball around the middle. But can a forward get on top of their key defender? That might be the difference in the end.
In terms of those inside 50 entries, so Fremantle have retained possession from 50% of them, Essendon 45, and the inside 50 count sitting in the Dockers' way 24-22. So they've had opportunities, they're just not fully capitalising, but it's a great little battle out there that we're certainly enjoying on Grandstand AFL. It's great to have your company for it on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. Plenty to discuss around the country in terms of the sporting world and what occurred earlier today at the MCG, where Carlton almost lost another one after having a massive lead. But at the moment on Grandstand AFL, we'll look ahead to the second half and take the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News, I'm Clive Hunter. Federal Labor will match a coalition election promise to give all Australians with type 1 diabetes access to continuous glucose monitoring devices. Political reporter Jess Davis has more from Parliament House.
The Prime Minister has committed $273 million to give anyone with type 1 diabetes the potentially life-saving devices at a maximum cost of $32.50. They currently cost around $5,000 a year.
It's an extra 71,000 Australians who will get access to that from the 1st of July.
Shadow Health Minister Mark Butler says if elected, a federal Labor government will match the commitment. The Coalition has also announced that Anne Ruston will become the new Health Minister should the Coalition win re-election, with Greg Hunt set to retire.
Coalition frontbencher Jane Hume has praised the Liberal Party's candidate for the seat of Warringah amid calls for her to be dumped. Catherine Deves has apologised several times for offensive anti-trans comments she made on social media. Prime Minister Scott Morrison is standing by his hand-picked candidate and has publicly backed her advocacy to block trans women from competing in women's sporting teams. Senator Hume has told Sky News Ms Deves is an excellent candidate.
The comments that she made on social media have gone, they have been withdrawn. She agrees that they were wrong. But her commitment to the cause remains, and I think that is admirable.
There's no sign yet of activity in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol, despite a Russian ultimatum passing for the city's defenders to surrender. The Kremlin had said they'd be spared if they laid down their weapons by the stipulated time. The city's mayor says 20,000 people have been killed during 3 weeks of Russian bombardment since the invasion began in late February. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky accuses Russia of deliberately trying to destroy Mariupol and failing to negotiate.
I want to be heard right now. There has not been a single day since the blockade of Mariupol that we have not sought a solution, military or diplomatic, anything to save people.
Local media in Ukraine are reporting more explosions have been heard in the early hours of the morning in the capital, Kyiv. Air raid sirens have been sounding through nearly all of Ukraine overnight. Meanwhile, the Russian Defense Ministry has published pictures of what it claims are the remaining crew members of its Black Sea flagship that sank earlier this week. The undated photo shows sailors on a parade ground being inspected by the head of the Russian Navy, as the BBC's Peter Goffin reports.
About 100 crewmen appear in the undated video, far fewer than the 500 reportedly on board the Moskva at the time of the explosion. Moscow has been steadfast that all its personnel were evacuated from the ship before it went down. But Ukrainian officials have said the strike on the Moskva killed some, if not most, of the crew. One government advisor has claimed the ship's captain died in the attack. Neither side has been able to verify its account of the sinking.
Here at home, a pilot who suffered serious burns in a plane crash in WA's far north yesterday is in a serious but stable condition. Jessica Hayes reports.
The plane crashed while attempting to land at East Kimberley Regional Airport yesterday morning. The two people who were on board became trapped in the wreckage, which had caught on fire. The passenger, a man in his 50s, died on the way to hospital. The 29-year-old pilot has burns and other injuries and was taken to Royal Darwin Hospital by the Royal Flying Doctors Service. He remains in a serious but stable condition. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau will examine the wreckage and police will prepare a report for the coroner.
Australian surfer Tyler Wright has claimed her maiden crown at Bells Beach after beating 5-time world champion Carissa Moore in the women's final. Wright had to work through pain associated with an illness that forced her to stop surfing in recent years and says the results means a lot.
Honestly, this is a dream come true. There's been so many times when I've wanted to give up on getting back to this sort of form, and it's taken all of me, and I really feel that right now. Unbelievable.
The 28-year-old scored a heat total of 16.93 over Moore's 10.57. It's ABC News.
Some shows are informative, others are entertaining, but only one show is a bona fide public service.
Unprecedented in modern times.
The team at The Weekly watches all the news so that you don't have to, and puts it all together again so you know everything you need to and nothing you don't.
Story after story.
The Weekly. If you give us 30 minutes, we'll give you the week.
The new season of The Weekly.
Some assembly required.
Back Wednesday, April 27 on ABC TV or log in to stream on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Back to Young, who turns it over straight down the throat of Parrish, who's off and moving it forward. Short kick to Martin, travelled about 15.1 metres. And Martin was able to take the slips catch 45 metres out, directly in front, looking for his second and the Bombers. 7 goals, 2 on the season. He's quickly becoming a fan favourite. Nick Martin endearing himself to the Bombers faithful. He's got 2.
Handball smothered by Frederick, who can gather 15 out, gives it off to Taberner, put it on the boot. It's a flat kick, but it's an accurate one. Major for Fremantle, one they desperately needed. Taberner has 2.
Parrish, low kick inside the 50, spears it onto the chest of Waterman, charging out from full forward. Into the team last week with 2 goals, Alec Waterman. We know he's a beautiful set shot kick. That is no exception.
Went down to Durham, is wrapped up by Long. Incorrect disposal. They'll play on as well. Banfield can waltz into an open goal and kick another for Fremantle. Hands it off to right. Essendon now into the 50. Smith from 35 curls it towards the top of the goal square. Guelphy can mark and walk in a goal.
Laverty left it behind. Frederick picked it up. Handball into the pocket for Banfield for his second. That's a ripping finish. Goes the check side and sneaks it home under pressure in the left forward pocket.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
6 lead changes at the Docklands. Cracking game on Grandstand AFL. Fremantle with a 3-point lead, 6-5-41 to Essendon's 5-8-38. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Nathan Burke, Luke Ball, Lauren Borden with you to conclude the doubleheader of Easter Sunday football. Hopefully we've got an enticing second half coming up, considering how enthralling the first one was. It was messy football, but certainly got a lot of highlights in it. Plenty of scores from turnover as well. Fremantle with 5 goals in the opening half. There's 6 from turnover. Essendon with 2. Taberner and Banfield with 2 goals for the Dockers, 2 to Nick Martin for the Bombers. And a big day out for Dyson Heppel, who has 19 touches alongside Darcy Parish, whilst Andrew Brayshaw has 18 for Fremantle. Great to have your company, ABC Radio and Sport Digital. The early game today over at the MCG saw Carlton defeat Port Adelaide by 3 points. They led by 50 at the 26-minute mark of the second term. It got as close as 2 points in the final quarter. Carlton hanging on for victory. It means Port Adelaide have their worst start to a season in AFL history. At 0-5, stuck at the bottom of the table, the only team without a win. Carlton move up to 6th at the moment on the live ladder. And they're just yet to have a comfortable victory at the moment. We see them as a finals team based on their form, but they need to put away some sides a bit more comfortably if they want to push into September. In that contest, Sam Walsh had 38 disposals. Charlie Curnow kicked 5 goals as well. So an impressive performance from the Blues forwards. Harry Mackay had 3. Zach Fisher kicked 2 as well alongside Jack Martin. And for Port Adelaide, their best in front of goals was Robbie Gray on return, 13 disposals, 3 majors. Sam Palpepper had 2, so did Georgiades and Burton, the major ball winners for the Power. Zach Butters had 32, as we touched on. Walsh with 38 for Carlton, Hewitt with 33 and Shearer with 32. And other codes across the country, the Super Netball round 4 has been completed. Today we saw... hold on. Round 5 is underway. That's what's going on, because it's not completely finished yet. Today we saw the Fever defeat the Swifts quite comfortably in the end. 18 goals, 76-58. And the Firebirds defeated the Thunderbirds by 10 goals, 60-50. In the NRL, the Dragons defeated the Knights 21-16. And the Roosters defeated the Warriors 22-14. No games. Oh, there is a game in the NBL today. 2 of them, actually. The Jack Jumpers defeated the Phoenix 84-80. And the 36ers defeated the Kings 90-82. And in the A-League today, we saw the Central Coast Mariners obliterate the Wellington Phoenix, a 4-0 win in the A-League. And some good news for Australia's Tyler Wright, who has won at Bells Beach. She beat Carissa Moore in the decider in the World Surf League event in Victoria. So great result for Tyler Wright, the Australian surfer, there at Bells Beach. Here at the Docklands, though, all eyes on Essendon and Fremantle. Hard to pick how it's going to play out. The Dockers up by 3 points at the moment over the Bombers. 6-5-41 plays 5-8-38. If you'd like to get in touch across the evening, 0437 774 774. Feel free to let us know if you're driving home from your Easter Sunday lunch, what the meals were like. We've certainly got a lot of food critics in the box at the moment. Joel Peterson's brought in some hot cross buns. We're eagerly awaiting to see what Nathan Burke thought of them. Burkie, what do you think?
Well, where do I start? The shine on top was nice. Well done. The consistency was quite good. The potentially slightly light on in fruit content, but overall, quite impressive job.
Thanks,
quite
Berkey.
impressive. I do want you to probably back up next week with something else, just so I'm just going to make sure there's just not a one-off fluke.
All right.
Maybe next week's Anzac Day. Maybe some Anzac Day cookies next week.
Yep, I'll
Anzac
get involved in that.
You're on.
I don't think I'm working with you, but I'll just deliver them to your house.
I think I'm in Tasmania next week.
I'll deliver them to Tassie, even better.
I feel like there was a bit of self-interest in that, where you didn't want to give him too much praise because you wanted him to come back and just earn it again.
Exactly. Like the players, you don't want to say, yeah, you're going great guns. You just they get ahead of themselves. Rest on your laurels. I reckon you could do that too, Joel.
Get ahead of myself. Yep, that sounds about right.
Let's try not to get ahead of ourselves on the game. We've got another half to call. 6-5-41, 5-8-38. Fremantle up by 3. Hasn't really felt like either team has grabbed a hold of this contest. What do both need to do to try and get over the line?
Well, I'll go Freo Borley. I think Freo need to, when they get the ball inside forward 50 quickly and get that unbroken chain off that half-back line, they look really, really dangerous. When they decide to go slow and chip it around, and we've seen them, Young in particular has given away 2 goals by just going slow, trying to bite off a little bit more than he can chew through the middle. Let's run and handball. Run, handball in numbers. They haven't really had a lot of proactive chain of handballs. Get the ball quickly inside 50 and they'll score pretty heavily. What about the Bombers?
Yeah, I just regain that ascendancy through the middle and the centre bounce, particularly around the clearances, which they did certainly at the start of that second quarter, and they look really dangerous. That's when they look like most likely to score because they're able to get the ball in quicker and deeper and to give their forwards an opportunity. I think you called it. Peter Wright needs to get moving a bit and just have a bit more impact in that forward 50 at the moment. They're relying on blokes like Guelphy and Smith, and Waterman got on the end of one in that quarter. Cox drifted forward to kick a goal. They love their key forward to be able to stand up, clunk a few, and go back and hit the scoreboard this quarter.
The opportunity awaits both of these finals hopefuls. Who's going to seize it on Easter Sunday and keep their campaign moving in the right direction? At the opening bounce, Brodie takes down Shields. He tried to throw a boot at it. Darcy picked it up, released Akers by hand, who came back to Brayshaw and back to Brodie in the centre circles. Kicks inside forward, 50, long, crashes out from full forward, pulls it in on the second grab, 30 out directly in front.
Well, that's what we wanted. We wanted a big key forward to stand up and do something key forward-ish. And that's what he did then. He was 4th player in line, launched himself with the ball, didn't run under it, which he's been doing all day. Now needs to go back and put this through. This would really give his team a boost at the start of the second half.
So an early marker from Rory Lobb, who starts his approach just inside the 50 from 40 metres out. He tugs the kick left and he lets them off early. 4-point margin for the Dockers, early stages, third term. That's a big miss.
If you haven't had many chances and you get one dead in front, 35 metres out, you can't miss those.
Ridley plays on from the defensive goal square, talking about those short 15-metre kicks. He popped one towards Zerk Thatcher, was paid, gave it to Parrish, back across the goal face. He uses Heppel. Disposal number 20 coming up for the Bombers skipper. Dangerous kick to Cox, who was caught behind Brennan and Nick. Cox battling against each other. The Docker one out, sported over the boundary line in front of Lauren Borden.
Aaron, you mentioned Devon Smith looking a little bit proppy at the end of the second term. He's just started in the forward line. He told the club at half-time he was right to go, so shrugged off any suggestions of injury.
Ball tossed back in. Draper and Darcy. Spills to Martin for the Bombers. Took it with one hand and then threw it on the boot. High kick to half forward. Almost landed on the chest of Wright. Pearce wrestled him to ground. Swooping in was Clark for the Dockers. Defensive hand pass to Chapman. He goes defensively to Cox. High kick curls up toward the boundary line. Great mark, Sarong. Great concentration. Knocked it out toward the boundary line. Protected the drop and pulled it into his chest.
But good. First game back. Possession number 15.
Swings it inside the defensive 50 to Cox, who sides a kick up the middle for Freo. Finds Brayshaw in the run of Clark. Clark goes inside the 50. Frederick and lob again. Almost couldn't pull it in. In the back pocket, Zirk Thatcher for the Bombers. Handball went looking for Kelly. Just found him. Laverty bangs it outside the defensive 50 for Essendon. It's coming back, though, the Dockers with numbers. O'Driscoll to Chapman.
Hands it over the top to Young, trying to get through traffic. Gave it back to O'Driscoll, who can run towards right half forward. Piercing kick into the 50 to Tabner. Geez, Brent, impressive. Nathan O'Driscoll. This is his fourth game. He was the medical sub in his first, and all three since. He's had big performances. Matthew Tabner going back for his third. Man on the mark, 45 out. Side angle to the right.
Yeah, he sure has. Nice size, isn't he? He's got wheels too. He can really move, and nice left foot as well. And Bombers just lost their balance a bit a couple of times. 2-1. You know, two tacklers at the ball carrier has left the player loose over the top and created this opportunity. Tabner.
To make it a double-digit scoreline, Tabner from outside 50 loads up on the left and it carries over the line for a major. 3 to Matthew Tabner. The Dockers up by 10. 3.5 gone in the third. 7-6, 48 plays 5-8, 38 on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Well, I like O'Driscoll. He got a bit of a hospital handball, but it was just a little bit of a shimmy to his left, which made the Essendon defender coming at him just take his step to the right, and then he was off. He's got long loping strides and that low left foot kick. I think he might have been aiming for lob. The Lob and Taverneau were both leading to the same spot, but Taverneau got there first. And that's what we're talking about at half-time. Who can get some free ball around the middle, actually lower their eyes and hit that leading forward. So both key forwards for the Dockers at this stage having an influence in the second half.
Talented sporting family, the O'Driscolls. Bounce goes awry in the middle. Of course, Nathan's sister Emma, defender for the Dockers women's team. Really came into her own this season, didn't she?
She did. 4 kicks, 3 goals for Taverneau, so right, hasn't been prolific, but taking his opportunities.
Talk about impact. Speaking of impact, Parrish and Shield combine out of the middle for the centre for the Dons. Shield with 2 bounces, strolls to 50, goes to full forward, or Cox with a rise. He couldn't pull in the mark. Waterman chases it into the pocket. Caldwell tackled the ground. Good tough stuff from Clark. In the back pocket for the Dockers, Young. He's dragged down by a couple. Can't get the ball free. And we'll have a ball up right forward pocket. The Bombers pressing to get one back.
10-point lead to Fremantle. Tossed up inside Essendon, attacking 50. Right won it down, coming through Pearce along the deck. Kicked it towards Clark. Caldwell was in front position. Handed it off to Martin, who paddled it back to Shield. Uses Heppel across half forward. Now a clearing kick from Kelly into the 50s. A good one. It was touched. Cox got a handball over his head towards Guelphy. Still 15 out. Ryan's brought down in the tackle. Ball up to come, straight in front of the goals. Still inside Essendon's attacking 50. Coventry ends. Trailing by 10 on the reset. Right, tried to win it down, but Darcy took it out of the contest. Gave it to Brodie. Fremantle through O'Driscoll. Brodie was taken down after he disposed of it. They'll take the advantage. Brayshaw now heads out through the city wing.
Collier on over the top. Taberner will collect on the bounce. Centre of the city wing. Handballs on to Collier. High kick inside the 50. Lob tracking it back. 2 Bombers to contend with. Laverty did well. Did he get the handball away? No! He got caught. Threw it to himself before getting a fist to it. Free kick will go the way of Sonny Walters inside the arc for the Dockers.
Walters did well there. I was almost critical of him being on the outside of that little contest, but you could see what he was doing. He was waiting for the Essendon player to get it, and then he pounced. And he pounced from behind. He was a little bit unsuspecting, juggled the ball, and good decision there by the umpire.
A little bit shaky in front of goal already today. Michael Walters.
comes in and puts it on the left boot. And she shanks that one. That's not scored. That's an awful set shot. 45-degree angle right of centre from 40 out. He's tugged it all the way right, and it's gone out of bounds on the full.
He's got a glove on the left hand. I feel like that might be affecting him a little bit. He just doesn't look confident at all, does he, on the set shot?
A left wrist injury early in the season.
That's right.
Durham the target for the Bombers as they exit defensive 50 and will receive the free kick. Walker the offender.
Even on his worst day, he wouldn't kick it like that usually.
He's got one behind Michael Walters for the game. Durham pops it short to Laverty. Just inside defensive 50 for the Bombers. He's calling for a lead and no one's coming. We'll have to bang it long down the dock side. Draper caught behind. Brendan Cox stuck a hand out, knocked it towards the boundary line. Clark tried to keep it in play. It'll be tossed back in front of the benches. Fremantle up by 10 points, 7-6-48, plays 5-8-38 on Grandstand AFL.
Umpire spins it back in from right beneath our broadcast position. Draper slaps it forward. Perkins dragged down. O'Driscoll, he went to ground, got the handball away to Brayshaw. Curls his kick up the dockside wing. Bounces in front of Laverty and Taberner. Laverty's pretty happy to see it out for a throw in at right half back for the Dons. 5-8 plays 7-6. The Bombers haven't won a third quarter this season. Being outscored by 10 points on average after half-time throughout their 4 games so far. Durham at the stoppage. Blind turn. Got the handball away to Redmond. Links up by hand with Heppel. Heppel to Ridley. Look out. Frederick was closing in. Got the handball away to McGrath, who releases Kelly on the City side. He kicks to the wing for Guelphy. The smother king, Luke Ball. We haven't seen that from him today.
A couple of good forward pressure efforts, but no smothers yet.
Feel like there'll be a moment for him at some stage. Drops it on the right boot inside the 50. Kick ill-directed. Clark dropped another chest mark. Picked up by Walker inside the defensive 50 for the Dockers. They'll sort themselves out here. Freo. Pearce relieves the danger.
Kicks around the body, hits Walters. Was a dangerous one with Redmond coming. He kicked into space. No one was looking at the footy. Collier was racing towards goal. Essendon clear it up towards the 50. Through the hands of Wright. At the back, Ryan's there. Under pressure from Smith. He paddles it towards the line and Cox fumbles it over professionally. Boundary throw in to come right forward pocket for the Bombers. What was Michael Walters thinking
I'll try
there?
to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not sure he's got great control over the footy on that left hand. He's for such a skilled player. He's not hitting them well, that's for sure.
10-point lead to Fremantle. Tossed in. Bombers attacking 50. Wright won it down. Aish coming through. Kick was smothered. Hobbs tries to gather off the deck. Coming through. Smith may have been caught high. At least he claimed to be. Meanwhile, Parrish is wrapped up. Ball's held up. 25 from goal. 45-degree angle to the right for Essendon. Trailing by 10.
So up we go inside forward 50 for the Dons. Wright does the ruck work. Parrish, handball only as far as O'Driscoll for the Dockers. Walker fumbles along the boundary line. Aisha's kick run down by Durham spills across the line and a throw in still in the right forward pocket for the Bombers.
It's almost like it rained at half-time.
There's a bit of sweat on the footy.
Yeah.
Might need a towel out there. There's plenty of fumbles, isn't there, the last couple of minutes?
Been a warm old weekend in Melbourne this Easter weekend. Pretty warm and sticky under the roof even. Wright wins it down, lobbed the opposition ruck there to claim it at ground level. Ball's not going to be wrenched free. Freo by 10 points, 10 minutes into the third term. Free kick coming here to the Dockers. Aish was tackled rather ingloriously by Durham, and so James Aish will take it from the left back pocket for Freo.
Free kick's 14-12 in favour of Freo.
Aish heads to left half back over the head of Tabner. Zerk Thatcher can't keep it in play. Boundary throw in to come just behind centre wing for the Dockers, kicking to the Lockett end, up by 10 points at the moment. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Luke Ball, Nathan Burke, Lauren Borden with you as well. Toss back in. Darcy in front position, claims it. Hands it off towards Aish. O'Driscoll now for Fremantle. Around the body, heads up towards Brayshaw. He stepped over his line, called to play on. He marked it, had to go. Heads into the left forward pocket. Banfield back with the flight, stuck an arm out. Wasn't facing the footy. As a result, he's given away the free kick as he cleans up Jordan Ridley in the right back pocket for Essendon. He'll pop it short to Laverty.
Averaging 14 kicks at nearly 90% efficiency this year, Ridley. Doesn't waste too many of them. Couldn't possibly have wasted that. Kicked it all of 12 metres to Laverty, who bangs it up the wing. Darcy straight through his hands. Pearce read it nicely off the pack. Handball to Mundy. Free kick and advantage to the Dockers through the centre. Bursting away is Clark. Goes inside the 50. Taberner hands to it. Can't bring it in. Lob goes the handball. Run down by Redmond. Desperate stuff. Then got dragged down without it. Free kick to the Bombers.
There's a goal-saving intervention, that one by Redmond.
Made a couple of them last week. He was the hero in the dying moments. That was a critical moment there. And Redmond comes up trumps. He'll take it from the right back pocket. The Bombers down 10. 12 gone in the third quarter.
Short kick to Laverty. Still inside defensive 50. Tight angle right back pocket. Will head long up the dock side. Draper can't get a rise as Darcy keeps him out of it. Brennan Cox will come across, spoil it over the boundary line.
On top at the moment, the Dockers. I feel like they just got to put a bit more of a gap on the Bombers on the scoreboard. 10 points. Feels like they're all over them at the moment. Got to capitalise. Bombers really struggling to find a goal. What are we, 13 minutes in this third quarter?
Just the one goal so far this term, Fremantle's way. Brodie from the ruck contest weaves through Durham. Handball over the top was intended for Sarong, but Shield will cut it off. Got a handball under pressure to McGrath. And now Hobbs will take the advantage from the free kick. Got it off to Heppel. Bursting through Durham. Shrugged a tackle, but got caught on the second one by Mundy. Ball came out. Legally, says the umpire, but Fremantle will go. Darcy gives it to Brodie. Then Clark. Banfield out wide to Collier. Over the top, he's got plenty of options. Put it into space in front of Tabner. Too low to ground for the big man. Overruns the footy. Frederick goes over as well. Swings around Zerk Thatcher and dacks him in the process. But Essendon can clear it to left half back.
Almost running it down was Akers. Did he keep it in? Not quite. They just cleared the pressure there, the Bombers. It was mounting on them.
They blew that one up, aren't they? Yeah, the back six are doing a good job, the Bombers. They're under the pump at the moment. They've just lost all balance around the contested footy. Dockers had 4 players queuing up in space in the middle of the ground then.
Freo with the impetus in the contest. Can they make it count on the scoreboard? Draper with 2 hands knocks it clear of the stoppage. Clark, handball to Brodie, the fend off. Loops it forward for Aish by hand. He's got runners on the outside as well. Akers directs the kick inside the forward 50 for the Dockers. Laverty picks it off. All too easily coming across as the +1. Stabs it across the defensive goal face to the right back pocket where Kelly marks for Essendon. The Dockers 7-6, the Bombers 5-8. Haven't scored in this third term, the Bombers, through 14 minutes.
Kelly clears it to right half back. Heppel used the body to beat Chapman, took the mark, gave it off to Perkins. Errant handball was not clean to Smith. Fremantle can cut it off. Mundy trying to keep it in play up against Durham. Durham did very well to get it back. Hobbs with a kick around the body, a floater up in the air across the benches. Walker rose for Fremantle, couldn't bring it down. Smith shrugs the tackle from Walker. Now Essendon heading up towards the 50. A tumbler in front of right. Got it off towards Caldwell. Stood upright. Got the handball. Gave it to Munn. Tight angle. He'll be unselfish and centre his kick to Shield. Should have gone for home because Ace stuck a hand out and Fremantle are out through the city side. Frederick can take a couple of bounces. Through the logo go the Dockers. Heads towards the 50. Taberner's got a run against Laverty. Through his hands. Was he nudged out of it? Yes.
Because he worked hard, Taberner. That was a 120-metre run. In the end, it's probably there, the free kick. I mean, Laverty did well as well to get back and cover, but got a glimpse of Matty Taberner's athleticism there. But you go back to the other end. Nick Martin, almost back yourself to run in and have the shot there. Too unselfish. Turnover, and then they don't see it.
End-to-end football for Fremantle.
Let's get a good
that
look.
Taberner tight angle.
Taberner's work right there, and he was on the wing. He put his head down.
15 out from goal. Opens the angle on the left. Curls it through for his 4th. He's been outstanding at Docklands. Fremantle push it out to a game-high 16-point lead. 8-6-54 plays 5-8-38. 15 gone in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, great reward for work right there from Taberner. He ran a good 100 metres to provide a target. To be honest, I'm not sure that's a free kick. I've seen more pushes in the back this weekend than that one, and they haven't been paid.
Let's go downstairs. Lauren Borden on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, Darcy Parish and Nick Klein weren't happy with that one either, Berkey. They just shook their heads on the bench. They're back on the ground now, so it's just giving them a little bit more work to do.
Nick Klein turned around and looked at the broadcast box as if he expected us to do something about it.
It's a 2-goal turnaround though, isn't it?
So
really hurts that one.
3 goals to Freo, either side of half-time in a row. They'll come out of the middle again through Brodie and Mundy. Couple of Goulburn Valley products. Handball to Lobb. Bangs it inside the forward 50. Taberner, was he dragged down in the marking contest? No, said the umpire. Walters picks it up. Handball to Darcy around the body. The big fella with a big goal. And the Dockers have finally got some room to breathe. 22 points the margin, just like that. 9-6-60 Fremantle. Essendon languishing at 5-8-38. 17 minutes gone in the third term.
It felt like it was coming, Berkey. They were just holding up the damn wall, the back 6 of the Bombers. The Dockers have had 10 of the last 11 inside 50, so really a dominant 5-6 minute period here, and that time it was out of the middle. Lobb, but what I liked then from Lobb, he shaped to give the handball again back, but turned around, faced the goals, took his space and got it in deep. And when you do that, I mean, Taberner almost took the mark, could have been given a free kick as well. Brings the ground level players into play, and mind you, Sean Darcy's not a ground level player, but the big fella was good enough to throw it on the boot. And all of a sudden the Bombers desperate for a goal.
They're yet to score in the third, the Bombers in the middle. Brodie brought down on the tackle by Parish, got it to Young. Fremantle with the clearance through Sarong, heads to the top of the goal square. Taberner got a rise but was beaten by Zerk Thatcher. He brought it to ground, tumbles its way towards the behind line left-hand side. There's a whistle. Non-controlling umpire has blown it. Hasn't signalled which way he wants to give the footy just yet. It's going to Taberner.
I think it might be a language one against Parish.
So Matthew Taberner to receive it. Man on the mark will be right on the left-hand behind line. Again, another side angle he'll have to wheel around on. Taberner snaps on his right and converts again. 3 in a row in this quarter for Matthew Taberner, and he's got 5 for the game. A handful for the Dockers big man. It's a 28-point lead to Fremantle. 10-6-66 to 5-8-38. What was a close contest has completely blown out at Docklands. 19 minutes gone in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Well, my guess is that there was no free kick near the play whatsoever.
Yeah, just looking at the play, was there?
No.
That's come from the out of
zone umpire, and he did have a couple of words with Darcy Parish after he paid the free kick. So I reckon about 50 metres behind, Darcy was saying, why wasn't that a free kick in the middle for holding the ball, and maybe use some choice language, and the umpire's gone, I'm not taking that.
And according to champion data, the free's gone against Parish.
So, there you go.
That would be the indication. Not a great sign at the moment for the Bombers, because the Dockers are running all over the top of them. Out of the middle again. Brodie got it to Switkowski. Skies the kick across the centre square. Durham run down. Clark in his back. No free kick. Now Parish dives on top of the pack. And we'll have a ball up next to the front point of the square for the Dockers, who've kicked 4 in this term. 4 goals, 1 to be precise. The Bombers haven't scored. Durham has another go at the resultant ball up. Jams it on the boot, a tumbling footy up toward half forward. Pearce knocked it away from Waterman. Cox there for the Dockers. Handball out wide. O'Driscoll puts the step on, calmly guides the kick inside the centre square. Missed the target in Brodie. Martin there for Essendon. Handball to McGrath, to Parish, sends it wide. Waterman had O'Driscoll closing. He did well, the youngster. Forced it out toward the boundary line. Bombers fans want a free kick, won't get it. And it'll be thrown in just in front of the wing. The Dons into attack. They kick to the Lockett end here in this, or the Coventry end in this term, and they are yet to score through 20 and a half minutes.
11 of 3 inside 50s favour the Dockers.
Toss back into play. Darcy disposed of Draper in the contest. Free kick to Essendon. The Bronx cheers of the Bombers faithful. This isn't what would have expected at half time. Draper heads long into the 50 for Essendon. Packer waits. Rise from Perkins, brought it down. Clark in front position, wrapped up by Smith in the left forward pocket for Essendon. Gathered by Shield. Handball back to Smith. Can't control it. Fremantle can mop it up. Sarong gives it out wide to O'Driscoll. Through right half back. Pops it up to Switkowski. Flew through the air into Nick Hind and couldn't gather the footy. Walters puts his head over it. Wrapped up in the tackle on the logo. Ball up to come centre wing City side. Fremantle by 28.
Dockers led by 4 at quarter time, by 5 at the half. Brayshaw from the stoppage, handball forward to Walters, 55 from home, back to the looping run of Brayshaw, jams it on the left boot, inside the 50, Frederick up, bounced off his chest, can't take it. Heppel hands it off to Kelly, measures the kick to Hobbs. He's got it at half back for the Bombers. They are under siege at the moment, Essendon. Supporters willing them to find something going into attack. Hobbs' kick to Kelly, sold him into trouble, stepped around Young. Kicks up the wing, Waterman in the pack, got one in the bonce as he tried to take the mark. Walker comes away with it for the Dockers, shows some burst. Handball to Young, cuts the kick inboard. Magnificent vision to Brayshaw into an open goal. It's all Freo. This is some sort of purple patch in the third term. The Dockers with 6 in a row either side of half-time. And the lead's ballooned to 34 points. 11-6-72 Freo. Essendon 5-8-38. And the Dockers look a good thing to end their Docklands hoodoo.
Well, the Bombers are always playing angry at the moment now. They're worried about things they can't control, umpires and all that sort of stuff. I've been so impressed. The Dockers have just kept their composure. They've been professional. Cross half back, they've been terrific. And that time, and that's what Hayden Young can do. We know he's made a couple of blues early in the first half that cost his team a goal, but that's just brilliant vision. And Andrew Brayshaw, what a season he's putting together already. He just gets better. Just watch him. He just doesn't stop working, doesn't stop moving, doesn't have express pace or anything like that, but finds himself in the right spot and lovely finish.
Fremantle by 34 in the centre square. Parrish dives onto the footy. Brayshaw onto him. Not going anywhere. We've just moved slightly into Fremantle's attacking half. 5 unanswered goals in the third term for the Dockers. One down by Darcy, straight towards Mundy. Somehow got a hand away from the tackle and handballed it off to Sarong. Gives it to O'Driscoll. Heads towards the goal square. Taberner brought down in the contest. It'll be another free kick to the Dockers big man. He's 15 out. Slight angle to the right. Matt Taberner has been outstanding. And this could be the easiest of the evening for him.
I feel a bit sorry for the Bombers back 6, Berkey, this quarter. Yep. They've just been absolutely under the pump. And we called it before the game. I mean, Jaden Laverde, as good a year as he's having, he's 6'2", 6'3". Matt Taberner is a 200 centimetre plus key forward. And he took front position there, and it was a nice kick to advantage. There's really not much more that Jaden Laverde could do.
Slow approach from Matthew Taberner, leans back on the kick and has a career best 6 goals. A bag for the big man at the Docklands. This is his house this evening. Fremantle up by 40 points after leading by just 3 at half-time. 12-6-78. Essendon 5-8-38. They're storming home. Fremantle could earn their 4th win of the season. 25 gone in the third. They've just got a quarter to hang on.
Inside 50s 15-3 this quarter, and clearances 12-7, both in favour of Freo. And we wanted a big fella to stand up at halftime, Bawley, and unfortunately for the Bomber supporters, it has been a Freo big man who's really stood up, and there's been a couple of them, Darcy and Lobb as well. So probably the 3 of them are having their best quarters for the game.
Taberner's only kicked 4 goals or more 7 times in his career. He's kicked 4 goals in the quarter.
Yeah, they've lost it here a bit, the Bombers. Undisciplined free kick again.
Yeah, it's all coming undone for them. Mundy's going to have to take it out of the centre of the ground. Brayshaw says, well, I was standing here and I was ready for it. The veteran just jogs back to the back edge of the centre circles to take his kick. 40 points the margin. As Aaron said, it was 3 at half-time. Mundy inside the 50, and Banfield stands up inside the arc. Gee whiz.
Everything's coming up roses for Freo. Essendon hasn't scored in the term, 26 minutes in. And Bailey Banfield's got an opportunity. Unused as the sub last week. Earned his spot on the rookie list again in 2022 with a strong finish to last year. He misses here, but he's got 2-2 for the day. And he extends the lead to 41 points for Fremantle. 26 and a half gone third term.
We touched on it in the pre-game. Essendon have conceded 14 or more goals in every game this season. Fremantle on 12 at the moment, late stages of the third. The Bombers have the footy at left half back through Ridley, one of their better players, despite being overwhelmed in the defensive six. Got it down to Redmond. Handball to the runner Hind. Essendon up to left half forward. Guelphy can rise uncontested. Takes the mark. Plays on through the square. Gets around Walker. Heads towards the 50. Tumbling ball in front of Collier. Couldn't gather against Cox. Akers comes through and is wrapped up by the Bombers' big man. Goes to ground. They'll take the advantage from the free kick. Smith tied in the right forward pocket. Can curl it on the right and it hits the right-hand goalpost on the way home. Minor score to Essendon. It's their first score in this third term.
Oh, lucky.
27 and a half gone. The Bombers 5-9-39 trail Fremantle 12-7-79, 40-point game on Grandstand AFL.
Paulie, you were looking at Peter Wright's leading patterns. Same thing.
Yeah, a couple of things there. I just think, again, I love Matty Guelphy. I love his...
Pearce has dropped the kick on the edge of the defensive 50 here. Got it from Walker. And then forced it back to Walker inside the defensive arc for the Dockers. Some nervous moments, heart-in-mouth stuff, and Walker's turned it over to Caldwell. So Jai Caldwell on the edge of the 50, kicks to the pocket. Ryan over the top of Wright. Bombers fans want a free kick. They won't get it. Ball out for a throw-in.
That's a free kick, I think. Yeah. Jumped in too early, didn't impact the ball. It's a fair way away from the ball in the end, so got away with one there. But just no system is there to the way the Bombers are attacking at the moment. It's hard work.
Toss back in left forward pocket for Essendon. Beat both rucks. On the bounce. Gathered by Chapman. Quickly tackled. He's not going anywhere. Ball up to come. 20 out. Tight angle on the left. Bombers desperate. They need something. Draper down. Put it in front of Akers. Gathers for Fremantle. Nice little 1-2 with Chapman. Clears defensive 50. Heads towards the logo on the dock side. Put it in front of Collier, who gathers cleanly on the bounce. Looks inside. Flat kick. Straight back to the logo to Akers. Now into the square, Sarong. Thought about going. Quickly came across Perkins to cut him off. The switch now out towards the city side. Young into the 50. Spots Walters. Marks 45 out from goal. 45-degree angle to the right.
It's just too easy. Blake Akers was able to run the ball out from 15 metres out from the Essendon goal, pretty much untouched, and get a 1-2 handball, kick the ball to the wing in front of Aish, and now we've got a shot for goal on the other side of the ground.
It's just access to the corridor again, isn't it? Just not used to teams, so much emphasis on defending the corridor these days.
So Walters hasn't been accurate so far this evening. Kicks from the paint of 50, plenty of power, sits up across the goal face and knocked through for a minor score by the Bombers. Back to a 41-point lead to Fremantle. 12-8-80 plays 5-9-39. 29 gone in the third term on Grandstand AFL.
So their best quarter of the season so far, Freo. 6 goals, 2 in the third term of the Derby a few weeks ago. 6 goals, 3 with that rush behind. Long kick in. Just got over the head of Wright and goes out for a throw-in in front of the interchange gates.
Again, Pearce is just monstering Wright. He can't even get 2 hands up to try and mark the ball. He's just getting caught in a wrestle. So he's got to contact Pearce early and get rid of him and then go at the ball.
1 mark, 4 disposals for Peter Wright after a pretty dominant performance up front last week. Martin spun around in the contest for the Bombers from the throw-in. Kick ricocheted away to Darcy. Handball to Sarong. Went back to Mundy, who went back to Pearce, who fell over at the critical moment. Let Peter Wright in. He steams inside the 50, eyes the sticks and misses. The kick never looked like it, and Peter Wright today hasn't looked like it. Margin 40 points again the way of Freo. And in this third term, the Bombers, they really haven't looked like it.
That was the kick they needed to gain any sort of momentum. Fremantle will be happy to waste away the final minute in defensive 50. Hayden Young in the left back pocket, clears out towards the dock side. Packer waits, plenty of Bombers rising up. Redmond should have clunked it, spilt down to Sarong. Threw it on the boot through centre wing. It tumbles past Lob. And also Zerk Thatcher, who gets front position for the Bombers. Hands it off to Hind at right half back. Back down the dock side, hits Redmond. Still time to work with if they go Essendon. Redmond hands it into the corridor, uses McGrath. Run down is Caldwell, lost possession, no free kick. Darcy puts his head over the football. Handball intercepted by Cox. Last roll of the dice in the quarter. Parrish into the 50, 2-on-1 against Wright. It was mauled in the contest, didn't have a chance, no free kick. And that'll do us for 3 quarters of football. An outstanding term from the Fremantle Dockers. 6 unanswered goals. They led by 3 at the half, now up by 40. They've completely taken this game out of the Bombers' hands. 12-8-80, plays 5-10-40. The goal scorers heading into the final term. Matthew Taberner with 6. A career best for the Dockers' big man. Bailey Banfield has 2 singles to Switkowski, Frederick, Brayshaw and Darcy. Meanwhile for the Bombers, 2 to Martin, singles to Waterman, Guelphy and Cox. It's been great to have your company for Easter Sunday football on ABC Radio and Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
The election. It's easy to get lost amongst the polls, policies and pledges. If only there was a way you could make more sense of it. Bridget Brennan from ABC News has an election hack, a way to find out how your views compare to the major parties.
Go online to Vote Compass, answer a few quick questions. You may be surprised where you stand on the political spectrum.
Vote Compass, exclusive to the ABC.
Go to abc.net.au/Australia Votes.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Back to O'Driscoll, who can run towards right half forward. Piercing kick into the 50 to Tabner. Matthew Tabner going back for his 3rd. Man on the mark, 45 out. Tight angle to the right. To make it a double-digit scoreline, Tabner from outside 50. Loads up on the left and it carries over the line for a major. Frederick can take a couple of bounces. Through the logo go the Dockers. Heads towards the 50. Tabner's got a run against Laverty. Through his hands. Was he nudged out of it? Yes! 15 out from goal. Opens the angle. On the left. Curls it through for his 4th.
Bangs it inside the forward 50. Taberner, was he dragged down in the marking contest? No, said the umpire. Walters picks it up. Handball to Darcy around the body. The big fella with a big goal. And the Dockers have finally got some room to breathe. Handball to Young. Cuts the kick inboard. Magnificent vision to Brayshaw. Into an open goal. It's all Freo. This is some sort of purple patch in the 3rd term. The Dockers with 6 in a row either side of half-time.
Gives it to O'Driscoll. Heads towards the goal square. Taberner brought down in the contest. It'll be another free kick to the Dockers big man. He's 15 out. Slight angle to the right. Slow approach from Matthew Taberner. Leans back on the kick and has a career best 6 goals.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
What was shaping up as a blockbuster at half-time has come completely undone at the Docklands. Fremantle firing 6 unanswered goals in the 3rd term. A Bomber boil-over. Fremantle charging towards their 4th victory of season 2022. They're up by 40 points. 12-8-80 plays 5-10-40. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and Sport Digital for Grandstand AFL on Easter Sunday. Earlier today, Carlton defeating Port Adelaide by 3 points. And at the moment, Fremantle up by 40. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson with you alongside Nathan Burke and Luke Ball on the text line. Tim from Wodonga says, it's all over. Dockers midfield on top. They move the ball with confidence quickly. It's the key to hitting their forwards. The Bombers can now kiss their season goodbye. And Grant in Hobart says, enjoying the call, especially because the Bombers are losing. Go Blues. So a good day for Grant. Not a great day for Bombers supporters. Bally and Berkey, what on earth happened in that 3rd term? Because we had a cracking contest and Fremantle have just surged their way to a 40-point lead.
Well, they just dominated everything. It started with the clearances. They were pretty much even at half-time, 35-22, so a plus 13 there for the Dockers now. Inside 50s, they're dominating those, 40-32. And they're even dominating the tackles, 44-29. So even though Fremantle had a lot of the footy, they out-tackled the Bombers. So all of that adds up to just desperation around the contest. It can be as simple as, let's get more players to the contest. Let's work hard at the contest. When it spills, turns over, we've got those released players, and then we run in numbers, and away we go. And you allow Taverner to work one out, which he wasn't really able to do in that first half by getting the ball in quickly. Rory Lobb gets his hands on it, so immediately the Essendon defender has to pay more attention to him. They can't sag off and get in front of Taverner. Darcy goes down and kicks a goal as well. So I think work rate, just physicality around the football, they were the starting points, and that enabled the Dockers to get the lead ball in.
Yeah, no, I agree, Berkey. It started around the clearance, no doubt. Darcy got on top, and Brayshaw's had another super game. And other players around the middle. The Bombers they got frustrated. They started concentrating on umpiring decisions and other things, and they just lost all balance around the contested footy. So what I mean by that is they all either collapsed in at the footy and left Fremantle players, and several times in particular, 3-4 Freo players queuing up in the corridor. They backed their play to go in, win or halve the contest, flick the ball out, and then they were away. And the amount of times that corridor was open for Freo to move the ball through into their forward line, as you said, they started to look more dangerous, that forward line against an undersized Bombers defence. Really alarming from the Bombers. They've got a quarter to turn it around here.
Fremantle by 40. The live ladder has them in the top two. They need to keep up the scoring rate to stay there. In the middle, Darcy won it down. Brayshaw stripped it away from Shield. Kick wasn't great. Sat up about 5 metres. Cox is slung to ground heavily by Switkowski. Holding the ball. I thought that might have been a dangerous tackle.
It has been overturned by the out-of-zone umpire, which I think is a good decision, because it was 20 years ago, Berkey. That's a good tackle. I mean, Cox is actually still pretty hurt here.
He's
but
clutching his right shoulder, but will take the kick.
Yeah, it was a classic sling.
Heads to the dock side to his skipper, Heppel. Short pass to Redmond in front of the benches. True centre wing. Commentary side. Redmond points long, but again this slow ball movement holding them up. Heads towards the 50. Plenty of Dockers sitting back. Beats the pack before the ball is young, just inside the field of play, and Waterman will escort him over. Force a boundary throw in. Left forward pocket for Essendon. Down by 40. 30 out from goal.
It's modern footy. The Cox gets the ball almost in the centre circle, and the ball ends up over here in front of the bench. Malcolm Blight used to have to rule, if you kick the ball over towards the bench, you just keep running, and then over the boundary line.
Darcy in ruck, slaps it down. Mundy runs in a big arc inside the defensive 50, unpressured essentially. Got the kick up the wing. Heppel scraps for it, dives on top of the ball, shovels it up to Redmond, back to Zirk Thatcher, to a nervous Laverty, got the handball away, knocked down by Taberner, but found its way back to Zirk Thatcher. Awkward kick on the left boot, turned over. Chapman picks it off for the Dockers. Such a promising defender, this young bloke. He goes diagonally and defensively to Aish on the back point of the square. He might come back to Chapman, indeed he does. Made a hero of himself a couple of weeks ago at the Adelaide Oval. He is a very promising prospect.
Just his 11th game this evening. The first round pick for Fremantle heads across defensive 50, spots Cox, and through the corridor he'll go to Young, just inside the square for Fremantle, chipping it around, controlling the footy with their 40-point lead. Back to Chapman, right half back. Marks uncontested. Now down the dock side, spots Frederick, who waits for it, takes it on the chest, just forward of centre wing.
It's important this lead doesn't blow out to 50, 60 points here. That will do the Bombers' season no good whatsoever. A loss is not great, but a big, heavy loss would be much, much worse.
Well, I mentioned Fremantle in the top two on the live ladder. Essendon have dropped all the way into the bottom four. They need to score at least 8 more points and keep Fremantle restricted in this term to try and get out of it. The Dockers have moved the ball out towards the city side. Pearce popped it short to Collier, just behind left half forward. Kicking to the Coventry end. He'll head into the 50 for Fremantle. Left forward pocket. Switkowski got a fly. Ridley joined him. Spoiled it over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. 45 out from Fremantle's goal. Left forward pocket. All eyes on Matthew Taberner, who has 6 in this contest.
Ball will be thrown back in inside forward 50 for the Dockers. Draper in ruck. Knocked it down to Parrish.
Heppel there to provide support. Been prolific today, the skipper. Handball back to a stationary Ridley, who slams it up the outer wing. Pearce, two hands to it for the Dockers. Young swoops in, gathers. Handball back to Brennan Cox, to Chapman, who shoots it inside the defensive 50 to Ryan. They open up the Dock side here, Fremantle. Akers has just that in terms of space. Moves the football on. Kick up the line to Banfield. Only just kept inside the field of play before Banfield stepped across. He's kicked a couple this afternoon. He couldn't do much more with that. And a throw in from right in front of our broadcast position. No change to the three-quarter time score. Freo 12-8, Essendon 5-10. It's a 40-point ball game the way of the visitors.
Brayshaw leading the disposal count with 30. Heppel has 28 for the Bombers. Tossed back in. Darcy won it down for Fremantle. Tries to gather off the deck. McGrath beat him to it. Got it to Parrish. Now Cutler kicks around the body for Essendon. Quick clearance, an errant one up towards left half forward. Chapman can paddle it to the Dockers' advantage. Uses Akers. Handball wasn't great. Sold him into trouble. McGrath came out of nowhere, crunched him in the tackle, but played it safe as well. Kept him on his feet. And the ball will be held up just in front of the benches. He came in heavy, but did well to make sure he didn't collect him. Darcy wins it down straight to the Bombers' advantage, though. Durham got it off to Parrish. Back to Redmond. Now Heppel trying to get away from Collier. Finally escapes in the last ditch, but his handball's smothered by Switkowski. Collier can gather a 1-2 with Mundy. He can race towards the 50. Plenty of space to walk into. Heads towards home and bounces through for a minor score on the left. He could have headed towards lob, went over his head instead and tried to get all the glory for himself. 41-point lead to Fremantle, equal game high. 12-9-81 plays 5-10-40. 5 minutes gone in the final term on Grandstand AFL. Great to have your company, ABC Radio and Sport Digital.
Joel Peterson and Aaron Bryant's calling it for you. Luke Ball, Nathan Burke, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Ridley marks the kick in, sends it long up the line. Draper, two hands to it. Brought it down to Parrish, to Redmond. Tumbles a kick up toward the wing. Pearce is there to intercept for the Dockers. Handball infield to Mundy. Has Akers streaming past. Handball to Darcy. Back to Akers. Just got the kick away. Got caught by Smith. Only as far as McGrath, who sends it in the Hobbs direction. Clark knocks it away from him. Waterman chases it toward the boundary. And it's out for a throw in between the interchange gates. Ball will be tossed back in. 41-point lead for Freo. Paulie said last week after the game, I wasn't necessarily a passenger on the Bombers hype train at the start of the year. I'm buying a ticket for whenever Freo's train is leaving the station.
Fair enough. Yep. Like what I've seen.
Draper got rid of Darcy in the ruck contest at the back. Mundy could gather though for Fremantle. Tried to get it to Collier. Draper took him down without it. The ball will come back to the former Bomber, now Docker Travis Collier. Piercing kick to half forward. Hits Switkowski. Spins, goes and hits Taverner. Marks 45 out from goal. 45-degree angle to the right. This could be 7 at the Docklands.
A great survivor, Trav Collier, isn't he? He's almost on the scrap heap. Left the Bombers, went back home to Perth, and he's really a regular member of the side now. Cemented himself. Really hard runner. He's quick. We know that. Covers the ground well, and he kicks it well. To be honest, the Bombers don't have a lot of blokes that do that. So good on him for really reviving his career. Big bag up for grabs here for Big Matt.
Career best performance. Can he increase it on the left? It's a beautiful kick. Struck it magnificently. 7 heaven for the Dockers. Taverner's unleashing at the Docklands. 47-point lead to Fremantle. 13-9-87 plays 5-10-40. This is clinical from the Dockers. They're marching towards their 4th win of the season.
What I don't get, Bally, is Draper gave away the free kick in the middle of the ground, virtually. And it was almost a play on. The umpire said, no, bring it back. So it was probably good 5-10 seconds. The ball came back. And then straight away it was a short pass straight ahead in the corridor. And then another one to a wide open forward line that Taverner ran into. What were Essendon thinking? What were they doing? Had their heads completely switched off for any form of defensive?
So ball back in the middle, rumbles around. Dockers by 47, and they'll come inside forward 50 once more. Brodie jams the kick inside the arc. It gets out the back. Heppel at the top of the defensive goal square, needs to be clean, got it to Zerk Thatcher, run down, threw it in the air. He got caught in all kinds of trouble. Frederick got him. And the live wire forward will earn a free kick, 25 out, directly in front.
It's been impressive. The Dockers' desire to chase, tackle and pressure in this second half has really just overwhelmed the Bombers. And we saw it in the middle there. I think it was Brodie. Switkowski, he's not a high possession player. We've got these role players that probably here in Victoria we haven't heard a lot about, but that's when you know the sides, as you said, playing well together.
Frederick kicked there first. He's got the 14th for Freo, and they keep piling the pain on the Essendon supporters, a few of whom are headed toward the exit. 53 points the lead the way of the Dockers, 14-9-93, Essendon 5-10-40. And there's plenty of time left. We're just 9 into the last term.
The player that I've been really impressed with today, he's had 22 possessions, just 6 kicks and 16 handballs, is Will Brodie. His work around the stoppage, he's had 7 clearances, and he's either been getting the footy or he's using his fairly big body there to make some space for Brayshaw and these guys to do their work. I reckon he's a midfielder who's going to be that sort of that brutish midfielder for a long time.
He was a top 10 pick, so it was really fascinating to watch on and as to why he couldn't get a regular game with Gold Coast Suns, but sometimes all you need is a second pair of eyes on you, and he's taking his opportunity at the moment.
Quick clearance for the Bombers. Shields kick too short to Caldwell. Nice kick out wide though. Hits Perkins, tight angle, 45 from home. A chance for Essendon to finally kick a goal. Fremantle have the last 9 of the game. Essendon haven't kicked a major since the 24-minute mark of the second term. This is going to be a tough task for Perkins. Starts outside the field of play, crosses the paint of 50, just threw it on the boot. It was an awkward looking kick, but nearly came home. Minor score again for Essendon. Goalless for 2 quarters. I just can't find any sort of answer. We'll be with you till 8 p.m. Eastern on Grandstand AFL. Bombers fans, get in touch. 0437 774 774.
Dockers off to the races again. Quick kick in and Ryan launches it to Frederick, who's going to look inside the 50 and see Darcy coming up at the ball. Cutler fists it away. It's spilt to Walters. Tries to hook the handball over his head. Numbers there with Essendon. Zerk Thatcher, handball to Parrish, to Kelly, back to Parrish in just outside the defensive 50. Loops the kick to the AFL logo for Hobbs, who pulls it in front of Brodie. Been impressive on debut. Now he's called to go. Kicks to half forward and never gave Wright a chance at that. Pearce just had it fall into his lap at half back for the Dockers as they reload again.
Yeah, sorry, Joel. Been very, very good. First game back, Pearce just completely blanketed Big Peter.
Hits Sarong on the 45. Mundy with the 1-2 with Walker. Now Sarong up towards left half forward. Into space. It's bouncing for Frederick. Can gather outside the arc. Centres his kick. Back to Young. Just inside the square. Hands it off. Now Ryan can load up. Gee, that's a kick to the top of the goal square. It was so long it beat Lobb, who was disposed of by Kelly. Intercept mark taken for the former Crow in the defensive goal square for Essendon. What a roost that was from Luke Ryan. The Bombers try to clear defensive 50, back with the flight. Taberner brought it to ground, and he's a bit ginger as well. He got collected. Meanwhile, Collier centres his kick to Darcy, who marks on the paint of 50. Nathan O'Driscoll is down behind play.
He was stiff not to get a free kick, wasn't it?
Darcy takes the mark. Ooh, tight angle to the right. O'Driscoll's popped back up. He looks okay. The trainer will come to check on him, but...
Second half been great, Darcy. Thought he probably played out a bit of a 0-0 draw in the first half with Draper and obviously the big fella Phillips, who started in the ruck, but it's got better as the game's gone on.
Draper plays on wheels around on the left. That is outstanding. Who says Ruckman can't kick from 50? Big Sean Darcy loaded up on the left and has 2 for the evening. Fremantle out to a 58-point lead. 15-9-99, plays 5-11-41. 12 minutes into the final term on Grandstand AFL.
We watched Max Gorn kick one from outside 50 last night.
It was very Gorn-like, wasn't it?
And Sam just going, well, Big Max, if you can do that, well, why can't I? And ran around onto his left, right from 50, 55. Beautiful kick.
Not a lot of rucks having great years. Tim English is one, Gorn is the other. It seems like if they're going to pick 2 rucks in the All-Australian side, there might be a vacancy for the big fella.
He was there last year, as you said, wasn't he? So he just continues to get better and better. And we spoke about Phillips going down early being a bit of a blow for the Bombers. It's as the game's gone on, it certainly appeared that that's been the case.
A demolition in this second half. Brayshaw kicks the Dockers once more inside the forward 50 out of the restart. Kelly did well, combined with Heppel, and now with Hobbs inside the defensive 50. Shoots the hand pass to McGrath, weaves his way outside the defensive arc, kicks toward the boundary. Nick Cox can't keep it in. Let's go downstairs to Lauren Borden.
Another big man down for Essendon at the moment. Sam Draper just getting his right ankle restrapped, so he's been off for a few minutes. O'Driscoll also in a little bit of pain after he went down, getting his right leg stretched out.
Thanks, Loz. So it's 10 consecutive goals in the second half for either side of half-time. So they kicked the last of the first half and 9 here in the second, the Bombers, or the Dockers, sorry.
Free kick from the ruck contest. Essendon will take the advantage through Shield. Kick was cut off by Pearce. He's outnumbered but did well. Diving handball looking for Clark, who had to become the tackler on the paint of 50 for Essendon. Will get a ball up. So yeah, no score, no major for Essendon since late in the second quarter. Tossed up. Knocked to ground. Switkowski put his head over it. Caught high by Caldwell. Umpire didn't see it. Brodie flicks a handball out to Clark. Then Aish around the body. Just tumbles it up towards centre wing Doc's side. Heppel can cut it off. The Bombers skipper wheeled around and broke the ankles of Sam Switkowski. Got a handball off to Hobbs. Then McGrath back to Heppel. Awkward kick. It's flat towards the 50 and coming across. Aish can intercept in front of Peter Wright. Kick wasn't great though. It's given the Bombers a chance. Smith can get a handball out to Perkins, trying to get some space on Aish. Kicks into space across the 50. Gathered by Cutler. Threw it on the boot. The highest kick you'll see all season. Nearly touched the roof. Comes down to Waterman. Couldn't gather. Spilled down to Ryan for Fremantle. Defensive hand pass to Cox. Composed.
Look at the numbers there. To Buddy Narron. This has been the issue for the Bombers this year.
Here they go. Sarong to Walker. Heads up to left half forward. Put it in front of Collier. He's beaten. Kelly did very well. Gathered the footy. Stepped over and then kicked down the line to McGrath.
58 points the margin the way of the Dockers. Bombers without a goal in the second half. McGrath swings it wide to Wright, who goes to Martin, who goes inside the forward 50. A horrible kick. Clark picked it off and they were really lined up there, the Dockers. So Jordan Clark shoots it across the defensive 50 by foot to Chapman. He's going to come back to Cox. Had a good day, Big Brennan. 20th disposal coming up. 9 marks to go with those. To Ryan. And now to Taberner. 7 goals for the big fella who marks it at right half back. A career high. And joins pretty exalted company to kick 7 for the Dockers. He cuts a diagonal kick aggressively to Brodie, who marks just on the back edge of the centre square.
The former son at half-back, great season, but stood off his line, called to play on, under a bit of pressure from Perkins, but got the kick away to right half-forward. In the pack, Lob disposed of Wright, can gather at the back, hands it forward to Banfield, steps around on the paint of 50, kick is smothered. He just couldn't get away from Durham, who's hurt himself on that smother as well. I think he was kicked in the process, clutching his right knee. Meanwhile, Redmond can go for Essendon. Down the wing, Doc's side, finds Perkins. Bit of space to figure out what he wants to do. Spots a runner heading into the 50. Waterman got some space and took it when he wasn't even looking at the footy. Just kept running towards goal, stuck both arms out and claimed the mark. Straight in front, 30 out.
It was good forward craft there by Waterman, ran inside 50. He made first contact with his defender, got him out of the way, and then went up at the footy. So we know he's a good shot for goal, but certainly, boy, they need a goal. Can't go goalless for a half.
Durham's back up as well, so he's okay. The medical sub activated in the first quarter. Phillips out with a hamstring injury. Meanwhile, Waterman can come in and convert. Consolation prize for the Bombers. Their second of the evening for Alec Waterman. The 6th major of the game for the Bombers. 6-11-47. Fremantle 15-9-99. 17 and a half played in the final term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Luke Ball and Nathan Burr.
Well, it's all just junk time now. isn't it, Berkey? But you're right, they need to play it out, the Bombers. It's only round 5. They need to finish off the game and play for a bit of pride. And he's a smart forward, Waterman, isn't he? When he gets opportunities like that one-on-one, he's a good one-on-one player, strong body, and more often than not a beautiful set shot kick for goal. So, yeah, they need to play this 7 minutes out. They go to Anzac Day, we know, next week against a Collingwood team coming off a pretty good loss up in Brisbane. Need to play this one out.
Freo to take on Carlton, so a couple of the 4-1 teams in the competition over in Perth next weekend. Martin and Caldwell exchange some hand passes. Caldwell spins through the traffic, hand pass to Draper. The big bloke drops it on the right boot, sends it to full forward. Might clear the pack and bounce through. Draper from long range. Freo fans, or Freo players say they got a hand to it. But the big fella has bounced through his first of the season, or his second of the season, in fact. Big Sam Draper, his first of the game. 2 in a row for Essendon after they couldn't get one for love nor money since the 24-minute mark of the second term. The margin back to 46 points, 19 minutes gone in the final quarter.
Jordan Clark thinks he's touched this.
He's pretty adamant, isn't he?
But I'm not sure he's going to win out.
He went straight up to the umpire at the top of the 50 with the appeal.
Yeah, off the boot.
On the text line,
hard to see.
Muggy, Sherry and Ben and Kimberley in KI have texted in saying happy Easter to you and the crew. Great commentating as always. The complete opposite from Richard, who says, I've never heard a more biased call. A Bomber follower since 1985. I'm sorry, Richard, but your team's terrible. It's been an awful performance in the second half. Almost as awful as the bounce in the middle, which will be recalled.
Biased towards the Dockers, is it, mate?
I imagine so.
Okay.
It's hard not to be when they kick. Well, Matt Taberner kicks 7 and they completely obliterate you in the third. In the middle, Mundy dives down on the ground, flicks a handball out to Frederick. He's brought down in the tackle from Hobbs. Essendon can go again. Parrish to Shield. Bit of pressure from Akers, just had to clear it towards the arc. Clark sitting back for Fremantle. Gave it off to Brayshaw, pushed as he kicked it. Bit ginger as well from it. Collided with Guelphy. The ball sits up at right half forward for Fremantle. Hobbs again did well against 3. Got a handball out. Redmond came in. He spun in the tackle. Got it off to Ridley. Arches the back through the wing. Kicks down the line to Guelphy. Brayshaw's just got to his feet and still looks sore. Kicks centrally. Hits up Martin. Gives it off to Caldwell. Can they make it 3 in a row? They can. Late surge from Essendon. They needed something to give the fans in attendance a little bit of joy on Easter Sunday. Back down to a 40-point margin, 8-11-59 the Bombers. And it's Fremantle 15-9-99, time on in the fourth on Grandstand AFL.
Well, this is good, isn't it? We said that they need to play this game out and at least finish with something heading into next week. And Jai Caldwell, we know he was a high draft pick as well. If he can just stay out there, at the moment he's sort of averaging around that 20, 22, 23 possession mark. If he can just play 10, 12, 15 games of footy in a row, you get the feeling that he's going to turn those into a 30, 32. And he can do that too, which is great. He can go forward and kick a goal. So he's certainly a positive for the Bombers.
He's been an elite prospect really since he was about 13 or 14, Jai Caldwell. Just hasn't been able to stay out there, had his draft year ruined by hamstring injuries, and the soft tissue has been a concern even in his time at the Giants and then at the Bombers last year. Good to see him stringing some good footy together. Free kick out of the middle for the Dockers. Akers to Sarong, who got wrapped up by Guelphy. Handball turned over. Nick Cox in the centre to Caldwell, to Perkins, to Hobbs. Back by hand to Guelphy on the AFL logo. Darts the kick to centre half forward. Walker slides in for the Dockers. Can't take it with him. Clark was clumsy. Got the handball away straight to Peter Wright, who almost missed his boot. Kicks a grubber inside the forward 50. Ryan stands in the way for the Dockers. Fair to say the game's just evolved a little bit in the last few moments. Lovely kick from Sarong, releases O'Driscoll on the outer side.
Can take a couple of bounces through the logo, O'Driscoll. Looking good for the young player. And heads into the 50 and is given away the free kick. After his third bounce, he just kept going, decided that's enough, and ran all the way to the 50 and turned it over. Free kick to Essendon, right half back. They're kicking to the Lockett end in this final term. Last 3 goals going their way, but down by 40 points. Dangerous kick up towards half-back is cut off by Switkowski. That wasn't great from Kelly. He can pop it up over the top towards Darcy. The big man had the height in the left forward pocket. Kelly's been great tonight for Essendon, but that kick was poor. Big Sean could have 3. So the 2021 best and fairest winner for Fremantle, the Doig medalist, had ankle and calf issues so far this season. His career's been plagued by leg issues. But when he's on, he's certainly elite. Starts from 40, tight angle on the left, kicks from 30, hits the left-hand goalpost, smacked it into it. Minor scored a Fremantle 41-point lead, 15-10-100. Raise the bat, Dockers fans. Essendon 8-11-59, 23 and a half played in the final term on Grandstand AFL.
Kelly to bring it in for the Bombers. Kicks along looking for Guelphy. Young got in there to disrupt things for the Dockers. Ran the handoff with Brayshaw. Then Young kicks to full forward. Redmond gets back at the top of the defensive goal square. Only kicked 3 goals once in his career, Sean Darcy. Could have been another Docker to nab a career high or an equal career high this afternoon. Taberner with 7. 0437 774 774 with you through until 8 o'clock Eastern on Grandstand AFL. All the post-match reaction as McGrath hands it off to Redmond, who goes galloping through the defensive 50 for the Bombers. Kicks to Kelly in line with the back edge of the centre square out on the wing on the City side. Lobs it up toward Draper. 2 hands to it, couldn't bring it in. Caldwell at his feet. Young there for the Dockers. Handball to Aish. Diagonal hand pass inboard to Mundy, who's always got a bit of space and time when he needs it. To Young, guides his kick down the line, and Taberner's presented a long way from home, just defensive side of the wing.
Speaking of Taberner, Mike from Melbourne's texted in wondering who you were referring to as the other 7-goal Dockers in a game. There's been plenty, but the big names, Tony Modra, Matthew Pavlich, Clive Waterhouse, Jeff Farmer, Paul Medhurst.
So Pavlich 5 times, Modra twice, Medhurst twice. Kingsley Hunter's in there. Clive Waterhouse was the name that stood out to me, though, Aaron. Loved a bit of Clive back in the day.
Dockers are chipping it around on the City wing. Clark heads back to Sarong, where it all started.
The old jumper with the anchor on it, the bright green in the night game at Subiaco.
I like the retro gear. Up towards the 50, Banfield in front position, spoiled down by Draper at the back. Trying to take the ball away was Kelly, stripped of it. Coming through, Durham assisted. Got it back to Zirk Thatcher. Uses Hind across defensive 50, chipped over the top. Didn't really have anyone to go to at half back. The ball's put down. Could have been taken by Martin. Gives Fremantle the advantage. Chipped into the 50 by Collier, and he hits Switkowski. Mark taken on the chest. 40 out from home. Slight angle to the right.
Neat kick, wasn't it? From Collier again, inside 50. Switkowski, one of those role players that we spoke about. They do look like they're hungry, the Dockers, don't they? I think
what I saw from
Switkowski and Collier, they're just they're valuing their spot in the team and their role in the team.
Switkowski, a 2-year deal at the end of last season after playing 12 games. This is a career best season for him with 16 disposals per game, and he struck that perfectly. 2 for the evening. Fremantle lay the anchor down at the Docklands. 16 goals. They're 16-10-106. Essendon 8-11-59. There's still time to play in this final term, Berkey and Bawley.
There is. The nice centre clearance here and get themselves another one. But what I'm liking about the Dockers is a little bit of what I saw last night with Melbourne Football Club. They've got their stars who get a whole bunch of the footy. But all of their other players that I can name them from last night, the Harms, Rivers, Neil Bullen, Spargo, Jordan, Bowie, they're role players who are playing their roles at a high level and really contributing week in and week out. And I think that is sort of the future for Fremantle. They've got some role players who are capable on their day of playing at that high level. If they can get them doing that week in and week out, well, then they'll certainly be consistent as a team and they'll win more than they lose.
Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke alongside Collingwood Premiership player Luke Ball with you on Grandstand AFL. 666 starting positions violation against Essendon. The resultant throw up goes the way of Freo. We've seen so many times today. O'Driscoll out on that City wing, chips it short to Brodie. Plenty of
fantasy football coaches happy with the work of those two this afternoon, I'd suggest. Brodie leisurely ambles around and launches one inside forward 50 for the Dockers. Darcy pulls it in powerfully in the forward pocket. He can go back and put a little bit of an exclamation point on it and kick an equal career best third goal.
He might be saying to Rory Lobb, hey, Rory, normally I'm in the middle getting smashed and you're down here at full forward. How about we swap that over a bit? I'm the one kicking goals. You get in the middle and get smashed.
It's a nice luxury to have, though, isn't it? Again, we keep talking about Melbourne, the benchmark, the Gawn and Jackson combination. We do need two big ruckmen to go forward.
On the approach with the left boot, just leaves it narrow. Makes another one go begging. And the margin is 48 points the way of Freo.
What an outstanding performance it's been from the Dockers. They're yet to beat a big name, but they've certainly answered a few questions. The Dockers move into the top two and hand the Bombers a reality check. 7 goals for Matthew Taberner. Fremantle dispatch Essendon by 48 points. It was a close game in the opening half. Fremantle by 4 at quarter time and 3 at the half. We had 6 lead changes heading into that. And then Fremantle ran away with the game. They had 10 goals either side of half time, unanswered that is, and ultimately ran out 48-point winners. They're marching towards their first finals campaign since 2015. Fremantle with their 4th win of the season. And boy, was it a big one. They've dismantled the Bombers in Victoria. Their first win in the state since 2010. They've snapped a losing streak of 14 out of the last 15 games. Fremantle established themselves as one of the top teams to beat in season 2022. Taberner kicked a career-best 7 goals. 2 to Darcy, Frederick and Banfield. Singles to Brayshaw and Switkowski. For the Bombers, 2 to Waterman and Martin. Singles to Guelphy, Cox, Caldwell and Draper. Plenty of post-game coming up on Grandstand AFL with you for the next 45 minutes. Feel free to get in touch. Dockers fans, let us in on all your joy. Do you think this could be the year? 0437 774 774. And Bombers fans, I want to hear the pain. What is going wrong? Is it the injury list? Is it the coaching structure? What's happening out there in the middle? We'll get a better insight from our experts, Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
It was just a really great team effort there by the Fremantle Dockers. Obviously, Taberner kicked 7, which was outstanding, and Brayshaw got a lot of the footy, and some other players got a lot of the footy, but pretty much all of them played their role today. And when the game needed to be won just after half-time, I think it was a real lift in Fremantle's desire around the football, their spread from the football, their tackling and pressure on the Bombers, whereas the Bombers pretty much continued what they did in the first half, but Freo lifted. And that was the difference in the end. They managed to get some free ball going inside 50. They got some big fellas on the end of it and capitalised, and then that momentum, the Bombers just could not get it back. And the only way the Bombers can get that back is really by being tougher and harder around the contest. And they failed to do that. They had 36 tackles for the whole game from behind. Like that's atrocious, really. 9 tackles a quarter, 36. So averages out to be 2 tackles, not even 2 tackles each per player. That's something that they absolutely need to address.
Yeah, I think they're 18th in the comp for tackles, and again, that's just not the Bombers that I know and that we're building over the last couple of years. So that is something that. And that's an attitude thing. That's not something that requires a lot of skill, Berkey, as we know. And I mean, Devon Smith's one that's usually driven that. I thought he was really good tonight, coming back into the team. He was a sub last week, but he was one who stood out from that point of view. But Heppel was great. I thought he was probably the Bombers' best player across half back. But in that third quarter, the challenge came and they weren't able to respond. And from as you said, from the Dockers' point of view, the challenge at the start of the game was, okay, you've been pretty good at home. You've beaten sides probably around the mark, or you should beat below you. Can you come to Melbourne and beat a team who hadn't beaten in Melbourne for 12 years? And half time, the question mark still was there, and they put paid to that pretty early on in that third quarter.
I'd say we'll talk plenty about the Dockers throughout, but how much of a worry is Essendon's defence? We talked about it last week, we talked about it again this week, Paulie. So their scores against so far this year, 138 in round 1 against Geelong, 97 in round 2 against Brisbane, 99 against Melbourne, 99 against Adelaide, and the Dockers have put up 107 today.
Yeah, when you talk about their defence, we're not talking about their back six, and it's linked to that tackle count. So it's linked to that pressure that you're able to put on around the contest in your forward half to maintain possession, to maintain the footy in your front half, which again has been building for them over the last couple of years. So they've taken a bit of a step back for whatever reason.
How do you reverse that trend then?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Again, I in terms of tackling and pressure and that sort of thing, 90% of it is above the shoulders. So their confidence is down from that point of view at the moment. So they need to just get back to rolling the sleeves up and getting to work on the track. There's really no other way about it. And we know it's a long year and things can turn, but that is a concern. And again, I know that they've been really strongly working on that for the last couple of years under Ben Rutten, who came from Richmond as that defensive-minded coach. So he'd be tearing his hair out about that at the moment. It would just the loss of structure, the loss of balance around the contest and around the ground, which enabled, we saw it last week with the Crows and today with Freo, enabled so much space through the middle of the ground and so many uncontested free players through the middle of the ground, was alarming at times today, in particular in that third quarter. So that'll show up on the tape. I've got no doubt that they'll be showing it. They won't be shying away from that. And again, the only way to improve it is to get out in the track and work at it.
Interesting what gets rewarded within the club, because that's what players will go to.
We saw it with Melbourne last night, didn't we?
Yeah. So Dyson Heppel has 34 possessions. Won some really good one-on-ones. And for all intents and purposes, was probably their best player. But as a leader, doesn't have a tackle. So do we say, hey, mate, great game, 34 possessions, you've done well, don't worry about that? Or do we say, mate, if you're out there, you're playing in defence, you're playing in the back line, you've got to get your hands dirty and get some tackles. I don't care about the 34. Don't give me that. Give me some tackles. That's what we need.
Just as an aside, the Dockers leaving the ground down there, there's a sign in the left forward pocket at the lock and end. Purple background, white writing, #flagmantle.
Okay.
Might be going a little bit early, but I like it.
You've got to believe. You've got to have a vision. You've got to believe. And look, when you go through their team, and again, we benchmark against the best team in the comp. So, star power, they're probably a little bit short on that, I think. They've got some young stars who, we think Brayshaw's going to be there eventually. Key posts are either end. I thought Pearce coming back today was great. And with him, Cox and Ryan, they're really, three good key backs. Key posts in the front, Taberner and Lobb. So, tick, there's still a bit of consistency issues there. But, they tick most boxes.
Docker dominance at the Docklands. 48-point winners. Let's head into the rooms with Lauren Borden.
Matt Tabner led the side in as they walked in. It's a very happy Freo side getting the win. That's coming all the way from the west. Here they are.
Bit of gusto in that song. Doesn't look like it's one of Joel's favourites in terms of the AFL list, but Dockers fans won't care. We touched on it just before about Freo for the flag on the text line. The Derby family driving to Donny Brooks says, love the call, go Freo. Tabs is a star, book the bus.
Are they, if you're the Derby family in Western Australia, they're Derby family? Even though it's spelled with an A?
You know what? They have to be. Also on the text line, M says, looking forward to Fremantle and Carlton's game. Hope Fremantle puts on their best performance like they did today. So the Dockers hosting the Blues next Saturday at Perth Stadium. Very excited for that one. That could be a showpiece of the round. Tyrrell in Australand also says, loving the commentary. Freo have finally shown us how well they can play. Looking forward to next week. So it's a tantalising matchup, Carlton and Fremantle. We're looking forward to that. For the Bombers, Tim says, the Dockers played well, but it was a poor effort from Essendon. 3 of their top 4 goal kicks from last season aren't in the team, but this effort isn't good enough. So the injury list is pretty poor for Essendon at the moment. So Francis, Heppel, Harrison Jones out up forward, Langdon, Merritt, Snelling, Stewart, Stringer all out. So they're all 22 players.
McDonald, Tipping and Woody in there as well, and you can actually extend that down to Harry Jones, who kicked 20 last year, and go to 4 of their 5 leading goal kickers from last year that aren't there. But that's not really the issue.
Well, but it just shows, though. So, and then you blanket Peter Wright, who's been their standout forward to this point in the year, and they really struggled to find any sort of potency in their front half, didn't they? Waterman chipped in and does his bit. He takes his chances when he gets them. Young Perkins really quiet today. So, they've certainly got some personnel challenges, but I guess that's what you need to try and build. You need to try and build that depth, and these young players who are getting the chance now, they need to start growing into those roles and taking those chances.
And it's another thing we spoke about last week. Improvement isn't linear. It doesn't have to go always up, but they need to at least find a way to be maybe scrapping these games out and just getting those little glimmers of hope, just the little things every week.
Well, I think the one thing that would be really, really disappointing the coaching staff, and again, having been there and knowing them a few years ago, is just that the defensive KPIs at the moment. That's one thing. If you're down on talent and you've got some key players out and scoring's a bit tougher, but one thing you can control is being really hard to play against when they've got the footy. And they're just not at the moment. And that'll be really, really concerning and frustrating, the Bombers coaching staff, I'm sure.
How many more losses before we put a line through them and say no finals this year? So 4-1, is it 5-1? Coming back from that.
Who's got the records on that? I think it's one of those years, though, where there is a big group of clubs in that middle sort of tier. I don't think, Freo are second on the ladder. Okay, we're 5 rounds in, but I don't think anyone would have Freo in the top 4 at the start of the year. But could they have snuck into the 8? Then I think, for sure. If everything goes right, good run of injuries. So they're still in that band of clubs with who have got that good run of injuries, get on a bit of a roll, can play some really good footy. There's a bit of a gap to the top, though.
So Collingwood are 8th, and they've won
2 and 3.
They're 2 and 3.
So they're only a game out.
So Geelong play tomorrow, of course. Yep. They're 7th at the moment. They've won 3. Yep. So essentially what that means is, as of tomorrow, if Geelong beat Hawthorn to be in the top 7, you need to have won 4 games through 5 rounds, and then it drops. There's a 2-game break between essentially 7th and the last spot that's up for grab in the 8th.
And I think we're sort of seeing that in the games at the moment, aren't we? There's teams that have hit the ground running and obviously had a good pre-season and nice and fit. I think Melbourne, there's a clear gap between first and the rest. And then others who've got some injuries, still either developing or, working on a few things from a game point of view that are, down at the below 500, I suppose, if you want to call it that. But again, it's just the way the Bombers are playing, which is surprising me at the moment.
So Collingwood 2 and 3 in 8th with 106%. Hawthorn a game in hand. They play tomorrow 2 and 2, 104.2%. The Bulldogs are 10th. Richmond are 11th. They've both won 2. Then the Suns, the Crows, the Giants, Essendon, West Coast, North Melbourne, and Port winless through 5 games.
I think we'll get some movement in that middle group.
Yeah,
there's some good quality teams in there that I don't think have hit their straps just yet.
The scoring runs this season, so we've seen it a fair few games. I think statistically, Champion Data have said that we've seen more runs in terms of 4 or 5 goals than any other season in the early stages. Today, Fremantle went on one of those in the third term, and Essendon just couldn't stop it. So how do you adapt to the new rules, the stand rule, the fact that it's a bit more free-flowing in the middle, and try and counteract the barrage of entries that teams are going on at the moment?
I think the zone defences that the teams are playing, if you don't quite get that right, you'll get scored really, really heavily. I was here watching the Gold Coast and the Saints yesterday, and the Gold Coast for a period of time went man-on-man around the ground. They didn't play a zone defence, and it completely befuddled the Saints. all they did was they went back and kicked the ball long down the line. Then for some reason they went against it, and then the Saints were able to carve them up and score pretty easily. So I think the defensive structures of teams has to change, and the zone just spread across the whole ground, no good.
The thoughts of Nathan Burke, Luke Ball, your experts, were with you all the way through till 8 p.m. Eastern, so feel free to get in touch. 0437 774 774. An outstanding win for the Fremantle Dockers. 48-point victors over Essendon at the Docklands, and they were led by their big man up forward, Matthew Taberner, with a career-best 7 goals. He's downstairs with Lauren Borden.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, Matt, a really nice win out there. You looked like a really comprehensive performance. You came out from the rooms just then. What did the coach say? There were a few cheers coming out of those rooms.
Yeah, I think he was really happy how we responded. We didn't get off to the greatest start by any means. I think our first half, we weren't playing our greatest footy, but we were still in the game. I think it was 3 points in it at half time, and we sort of capitalised, played a bit more direct in that third quarter, and we were able to put them under pressure.
You spoke about that response. You were a big part of that in the third quarter. Yeah. What was the change out there?
I think we were, we're looking corridor, and we had a couple of bad turnovers that went, they're hard to defend, and some shallow entries. We sort of outlined that going into the game. If we turn it over in some dangerous spots, they got some guys that can really capitalise and make us pay. I think we just played a little bit more direct, took the contest on, and our small forward sort of got after him and made life easy for me and gave me some opportunities.
And you kicked 7 goals today. What's your personal best across your whole career, including the junior days?
Yeah, I've never been a big goal kicker, and definitely sprayed them in front of goals over my time. So, it's something I've been working on. It's good to sort of kick straight for once. I think, no doubt I was a little bit lucky with a few of the calls, but we sort of knew going in they were a little bit undersized with their key back. So, if you can get in the right spots, put them under pressure and make them sweat a bit.
I'll throw you up to the box now and to our experts Luke Ball and Nathan Burke.
Go, Matt. Nathan Burke here, mate. Congratulations today. Outstanding effort by you and the team as a whole. Before the game, the boys in front of me read out some sort of fairly damning statistics about how often you'd won in Melbourne and how often you'd beat Essendon. Sort of hasn't happened for a long, long time. Is that anything that you guys worry about, speak about before the game, and how important is it to win on the road?
Yeah, I sort of made aware of that. I think the coach didn't really address it. I think we played twice here last year, and the game against Essendon, actually, we got off to a really poor start last year, but from then on I think we played some really good footy and moved the ball well. We just really didn't capitalise in front of goal, so we knew we were capable. I guess if we want to really be a decent team and finals contender, you have to win away at home, and particularly Melbourne. So we haven't played, don't get a big opportunity to come here very often. I think with COVID, we came here a couple of times last year, but it's been a while. So, a lot of guys getting back, big sort of Melbourne contingent we've got in our playing group. It's hard, Easter weekend, you want to catch up with family, but in the back of the mind, you've got a job to do. So we really, really honed in and wanted to leave it all out there and get a result.
Matt, congratulations. You're right. We don't see you much here, it seems. It's certainly my first time seeing you live. And what stood out to me, and you mentioned it, you touched on it with your comment about the small forwards, but you just had a really good even spread. And I think the best teams over the last few years, and we talk about Melbourne being the benchmark, they're able to really spread the load. I mean, you had a wonderful day yourself personally, but really impressed by the role playing of, say, Switkowski, Frederick, even Collier, and then some younger players, O'Driscoll, Young and Banfield and these types. You've got a really nice balance across the ground of contributions.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you touched on it the last couple of weeks. I think myself personally have been pretty quiet, and those small forwards have really got to work. We're missing Lockie Schultz, who's probably been a standout this year with COVID. So we really had to lift it. He brings a lot in terms of his pressure and his attack on the ball. So. Yes, you're right, Switkowski, Trav Collier having another great year, and I think it's really, they're a part of our brand that we play, really fast footy, and they really get after him. Michael Frederick was great at times, so I think you touched on it, and we really executed that game plan.
And at the other end, a guy who I'm sure you probably play on at training a fair bit, Alex Pearce, was great to have him back, and Peter Wright's been in pretty hot form. and he really had the blanket on him today. So, great to have him back as a key post at the other end, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Tough guy to get a kick on at training, no doubt. And, you know what you're going to get. He's probably the fiercest competitor I've sort of ever played with. He doesn't give much away at all. And Griff Logue was pretty stiff to miss out after playing a really good game last week. So we've got plenty of depth in that position. Joel Hamling's another one. So our key back stocks are looking really good, which we've sort of been exposed at times last year with injuries.
Matthew Taberner is our guest on Grandstand AFL after kicking a career-best 7 goals in Fremantle's 48-point victory over Essendon. Tabs, Aaron Bryant's here. I've followed your career pretty closely over in the West. It felt like at times under Ross Lyon that you would sometimes be the whipping boy when Fremantle weren't going well, but the last few years under Justin Longmuir, it feels like you've really honed your craft, and now you're the face of the Fremantle forward line. What's really changed under the new coach?
I respect Ross a lot, and forever grateful for giving me an opportunity in my career, and learned a lot of good lessons. I think coming the last few years under Ross, I was sort of playing some good footy, but suffered a couple of stress fractures and couldn't really get any. Couldn't get on the park a whole lot, so it's really great. To finally get a bit of a few games under my belt and play a bit more consistent footy. So touch wood, can stay out on the park and keep contributing.
We're waiting to hear when Nat Fyfe can come back into the side. What's the latest you're hearing from your skipper?
He's sort of still getting there. It's one of those ones, like if we still keep playing really good footy, it allows him a little bit more time to get right. So we'll sort of keep out doing our job and hopefully afford him the most time possible to get back, so there's no interruptions.
Matt Taberner, 7 goals today. Joel Peterson here, Matt. Big Sean Darcy drifted down forward, especially late. He had a great second half. He's an absolute mountain. We know that. He's developed his game so much in the last couple of years, but he must be a nice foil for you up forward, taking a few big clunking marks.
Yeah, he does run hard forward, so you just got to keep reminding him he's sort of got to get back and defend at times, but he's had a great couple of years. Last year, I think he won our BNF. One of the hardest workers to get his body right and get in good shape. Like something he's had to work on coming in. He's managed to cover the ground a lot better than he did in his first couple of years. And he's getting some real good reward.
And I reckon you were far too modest earlier when we talked about your 7 goals. So you join guys like Kingsley Hunter, Jeff Farmer, Clive Waterhouse, Trent Crode, Tony Modra did it twice, John Hutton did it, Paul Medhurst did it twice, and Matt Pavlich did it 5 times. Is there any of those names that stand out to you when you think, righto, this isn't bad to be in the company of this lot?
Yeah, lucky enough to play under Pav and learn a lot from him in my first few years. So, it's a small feat compared to him. But, I think you touched on before, when we've got an even spread of goal kickers, it's, we're looking to play our most dangerous footy. So, I certainly got a reward this week and a few lucky ones, but I'm sure there'll be a more even spread next week, no doubt.
This tantalising matchup next weekend, Tabs, against Carlton. What, I guess, do you need to do to make sure you can beat a top-tier side? This is really, I guess, the biggest task in front of you in season 2022 so far.
Yeah, definitely. We've had actually a couple of good contests against them. Probably let ourselves down a little bit. I think it was last Easter at Etihad, here at Marvel. But we've had some good games at Optus. I mean, there was a kick after the siren. And they probably got the wood over us recently, and they're playing some great footy. They've got some sort of dangerous tall forwards that are really informed. So I'm not sure exactly how they went today, but we'll be ready and try and do it in front of our home fans.
Tabs, congratulations on the win and an absolute barnstorming performance. It's a career best 7 goals for you, and I imagine you'll be celebrating a lot this evening. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, thanks guys.
Matthew Taberner joining us down in the Dockers rooms. 48-point winners over the Bombers, 16-11, 107 to 8-11, 59.
I was hoping he'd say I was really happy to be in the company of Clive Waterhouse. Personally, I was just hoping he was just thrilled to be up there with Clive.
Too young for Modra's for that. I mean, Modra was the man, wasn't he? So
the Wiz, Jeff Farmer?
Yeah.
Gee, they had some exciting players.
I did.
Yeah.
Paul Medhurst, an old teammate of mine, too, at the Pies, yeah.
Yep. But it's funny, like, the discussions of the players that we're talking about are key figures of different eras of Fremantle. And And as I said, Matthew Taberner, back in the Ross Lyon era, was the whipping boy of the Dockers and was in and out of the side. And when they were losing, the fans would pile on him. But he is their main man now. And this is a team that's in the top two. There's still plenty of games to come in the season. But when we look back on this team in the years to come, he's their spearhead up forward.
He's such an imposing athlete too. You just see how hard he works. I mean, he's over 200 centimetres. He's a massive man and with a big tank. So those sort of guys are pretty hard to come by. And he mentioned there he's had some issues with his body and feet and things like that, which can be hard to overcome. It looks like, and touch wood for him, that he's got having a good run at the moment and in pretty good nick. And he's the sort of guy that if they're playing good and they're getting enough supply, he could win a Coleman medal easily because of his size and his presence and the amount of ball that he commands. He can have 6 to 8 shots a goal every week.
So he's 29 in 2 months from today, and he's played his 106th game today, I think. So plenty of good footy ahead of him.
Yep.
It's just been the injuries. He's just missed a lot of periods of the season.
Stars of opportunity.
Yeah, he's certainly got the right team around him to be able to perform. The midfielders, or the midfield group that are shining at the moment in the absence of Nathan Fyfe. Andrew Brayshaw had 34 touches. Caleb Sarong returned with 30. Will Brodie stood up with 26. Nathan O'Driscoll out of nowhere has had back-to-back incredible performances. He had 22 today and a goal, but at some point Fyfe does need to return, and I'm not really sure how you slot him in. Does he play as a forward considering the midfield group is working?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he can drift and keep him out of harm's way a bit if they're doing the job in the middle. He can. He's going to command a good defender, isn't he? If you put him forward to the ball, he's such a wonderful contested mark. So it's a bit of a luxury, really. God, I even forgot about him. I think you said before that they're a bit short on star power. Well, I forgot about the dual Brownlow medalist. He'll come back into the team. So I think they're a little bit off. Yeah, but that's right. Yeah, play wing, float back, forward. So yeah, they're compiling a nice. Nice nucleus of players that can help them launch into a finals campaign.
And am I right in saying I think it's only him and Lockie Schultz on their injury list?
And Matthew Johnson, who's not really going to make an impact in the 22.
So they've got a healthy book. Yep. They've got competition for spots. It's all in front of them.
It makes jury's out on the Saints. They've won 4 in a row, but and some people have said who have they beaten, sort of, but. This probably makes that win against Freo in Perth a far more impressive win than probably what we gave them credit for initially.
The next two for the Dockers, Carlton, as we touched on Saturday at Perth Stadium, Geelong after that at Cardinia Park. Okay. Following that, North Melbourne and Gold Coast, so they'll probably win those 2 games, but the next 2 are critically important about where they sit in the scheme of things. Carlton's going to be a big task. Geelong will be even harder at Cardinia Park. Can they win either of them?
Well, they can beat Carlton, absolutely. Cardinia Park, I very rarely tip against anyone down at Cardinia Park. The Cats are just very good down there. But absolutely, there's no reason why they can't beat Carlton. They'll probably go in my book as favourites.
Yep. Considering the run they went on today in the third term, if Carlton do what they did to Port Adelaide today and open the door for a team to come back from any sort of margin, Fremantle will capitalise. They looked electric at times through the middle. Essendon, meanwhile, without Zach Merritt, we touched on their lengthy injury list. Jake Stringer will likely come back very soon as well, but considering they've still got Heppel and Parrish in the middle there, McGrath, they all had over 20 touches today, Caldwell as well. They're supposed to be star-studded, Dylan Shields in that as well, but they're being exposed. We touched on the pre-game defensively is really their problem at the moment. Heppel didn't have a tackle, as we touched on. Shield had 1, Caldwell had 1, McGrath had 1. How do you actually, as a coach, has been run, how do you get your midfielders to defend? What kind of spray do you need to give them to actually change their approach?
Yeah, I think it's just a shift in mind. We know they can do it. They've done it in the past. So whether it is who have they got next week? Whether Collingwood, whether it is going to someone like a Caldwell or McGrath, saying, okay, you can run with this player this week, just to slightly shift the mindset a bit. I don't think it takes much. As I said, I thought they were really building towards that last year, being having that brand of footy of being pretty aggressive without the footy and pretty strong in their team defence. For whatever reason, it's just not clicking this year. And the danger with that is, the challenge with that is that the players can go back to bad habits, in terms of just maybe just hunting the ball and worrying about possessions and all that sort of stuff. So Heppel's more gone behind the ball, I think. But yeah, Caldwell goes in the middle. I think it's interesting, like a player like Will Snelling, who, if you're not an Essendon supporter, you'd walk past him in the street and wouldn't know who he is.
But he's a tackling machine.
He is, and he's a really important player. He was last year. I think he's a really important player to that team. And on the flip side, we saw guys like Switkowski and like those other small forwards, and there's competition for those spots, so they are desperate. They know they have to do it, or their spot in the team becomes, in jeopardy. So, to me, that was a difference. That's a bit of the difference in the two teams tonight. There's one team who are healthy, who are up and going. There is pressure for spots. We're just looking out now and seeing, is that Griffin Logue and Darcy Tucker, who's another hard-running midfielder, defensive midfielder. So the guys that go out there, the 22 that go out there, know that if they don't play their role, that there's a healthy list playing in the twos, banging down the door, willing to come in and take their spot. That's good position to be in.
A couple of quick, looking at the stats there with the tackles. The top 9 Essendon ball winners had 7 tackles between them. And young Hobbs, playing in his very, very first game, had 5.
Yeah, so he was good. Second most out of anyone from Essendon.
So that's a big tick for him. That's on the positive side. That's a really good, good start for him. And a couple of times he looked really composed with the ball. But yeah, I'd be showing those numbers to those senior gun mids who, to your point, Berkey, when you look at the stat sheet, you go, they've had okay games, but these days, to be a good team, you've got to do it both ways. You put too much pressure on your defence, your back six. And we saw that tonight. And in the end, the damn wall just broke.
And these are the players who are around the ball most often. That's why they get it the most. They're around the ball most often, whereas the top 9 for Freo had 23, with Clark having 7 by himself. Yeah. So one player had the same as the most 9 Essendon players. That is ridiculously bad.
And I think you mentioned at one stage as well, Paulie, in terms of the scoreboard impact from those mids as well. So if you look at their sort of most common on-ball group of Draper, McGrath, Parrish and Shield, Draper kicked a goal today. They've got 2 goals between them for the season. Caldwell's got 4 himself. He tends to drift and play across half forward more, but they're not getting the scoreboard impact from that midfield group either.
No, they're not. And when there's, I think you said 4 of their best goal kickers last year out, when Stringer's not out there, McDonald Tippin Woody we know is not out there, Devon Smith not playing as much, and 1 or 2 others who have slipped my mind at the moment. But when those forwards aren't doing that, then pressure comes on that midfield group to be able to do that, to be able to hit the scoreboard, and that's not happening at the moment either. So, a few things to fix. I'm confident they can do it. Yeah, there's no other way. They've got to get into work and roll up the sleeves and get to work. And they go to Anzac Day next week, so big stage, 90,000, perfect opportunity to turn it around.
So that was going to be my next question. It's a showpiece game next Monday. You want to put your best 22 out there on the park against Collingwood in a game that will basically decide your season. But you also need to make a statement at selection. They had a 25-point loss to Port Melbourne in the VFL, the Bombers. Kane Baldwin kicked 5. Tex Wanganeen had 2. Best disposal winners for the Bombers there. Ham had 16.
What about the tackles column?
The tackles column, Ham had 6. So Francis had 4. But yeah, what would you do at selection? Because you don't want to throw away the game by completely wiping out your midfield, but you need to make a statement.
I didn't mind young Ham early in the year. Boy, you probably know a little bit more about him than I do, but I thought he was lively. He's got some good skills.
Yeah, he's a winger. He's got a big tank. He was probably down a bit last week against Adelaide, and in the end, young Hobbs comes in. I think it takes his spot. So, you'd be giving him another go and another opportunity to play, to experience the Anzac Day game. No, I'd just be putting it back on the senior players. I think if some of those guys are still out, I think. What better opportunity to turn it around in a big stage?
Is there an element as well of Anzac Day? You sort of throw the records out the window?
A little bit, yeah, I think so. Yeah, and some of those guys have got great records on Anzac Day. I think about Darcy Parrish's game last year on Anzac Day was one for the ages, really. So I think they'll respect the occasion, and I'd expect them to come out with that intent next week.
Speaking of Anzac Day, we've got a message on the text line from Fran in Melbourne who says, "Hi Luke, how do you think the Pies are going? Will they be able to beat the Blues and Fremantle?" So Collingwood at the moment Bombers. Sitting 2 and 3. This is the Pies. So they had 2 wins to start the year against Adelaide and St Kilda, and close losses to the Cats and the Lions. The West Coast game obviously very poor, but they've been competitive.
Yeah, and I think what we're talking about here with what's most disappointing with the Bombers in terms of being hard to play with, knowing what you're going to get, having intent to tackle and chase. Yes, they're going to make mistakes. There's some young players in that team. There's some inexperienced players who might be able to execute as well at times. But I've liked what I've seen in terms of their intent. Even on Thursday night against a really good Brisbane team who never get beaten at home, to fight the game out the way they did, to really make the Brisbane team earn it. I think that's where the Bombers need to get to. So expecting a response from them next week. I think it'll be a really good contest. I think it'll be a really good clash on Anzac Day.
Some reaction from the Essendon rooms in a second. Just interesting to see Justin Longmuir, the Fremantle coach, just taking a moment to himself out on the wing here, just strolling along, was just sort of standing there surveying the scene and then walking over to where the Freo players who didn't get a run are going through their paces at the moment. So
you know what he's doing?
He'd be quietly pretty happy.
He's out there going, boys, I'm out here noticing what you're doing. And that's what, these guys didn't play in the game. They're out there running around with their GPS on. It's like, hey, I'm appreciating that you didn't get a game, but I'm noticing what you're doing to get ready for next week.
Well, those three players at any time could come straight into this 22. Neil Erasmus in his first two games averaged 16 touches and looked like he fit straight into the midfield. It was actually a surprise to see him out. Griffin Logue was the late in last week and had 17 touches, was one of their best down back. Darcy Tucker, when he's at his best, he can play very well. Unfortunately, had that concussion in the Derby. But those three could be best 22 players. And at the moment, they're just doing warm-ups out in the middle after a 48-point win at the hands of the Fremantle Dockers. They're not the most impressive list, because I imagine that would be Melbourne. But the depth, when you looked at the emergencies today, shows that Fremantle have so many options. Let's head down into the Bombers' rooms and get some reaction from Essendon. 48 points, the margin at the Docklands. 16-11, 107 to 8-11, 59. A disappointing day for the Dons after they got so close at half-time and then conceded 10 goals either side of half-time. Lauren Borden's downstairs with their skipper, Dyson Heppel.
Thanks, Aaron. I am with Dyson Heppel. Obviously, you came here last weekend. You got your first win of the season. Couldn't back it up today. What's been the reaction to today's performance?
Yeah, look, I think extremely disappointed in the locker room at the moment. Came in at half-time. I thought we started the game the way we would have liked. Bought our brand of footy and gave ourselves a real opportunity.